What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Kilo Loco, and we're going to be going through the Claude or the Anthropic Academy courses together. I'm going to start off with this Claude 101. I really don't expect to learn anything here. Feel free to watch along with me, but what I really plan on doing is just giving you guys my feedback. I've been using Claude Code for like the last 6 months, or whatever, like since September, whatever that is. So I've been using it for a little while now. I use it every day and I'm pretty good at it. So if you want to have a little bit of insight on how a mobile developer uses Claude Code, that's what I'll be giving you while we go through this course together. So let's go ahead and kick it off and start it. Let's see. So what is Claude? What is Claude? What do y'all call yourselves?
We'll
had bump it up for y'all. There we go.
It started yesterday with a glimmer. What was it? Right. Claude remembered it. Your idea was hungry. Hungry for answers and connections. Claude helped you look, reading alongside you. Turn this into what? A deck, spreadsheets, documents, the tedious parts handled. Your idea stopped being just words and slides. It became entries, updates, actions, real things in real places. You kept going. You left your desk. Your idea followed into your phone. Calendar for when, maps for where, reminders for later. By evening, it was done. The idea was always yours. With Claude as your thinking partner, you made it real.
Yep, that's kind of true. Not gonna lie, that's kind of true. Generative AI is pretty damn awesome. All right, let's see. Am I gonna have to read? I guess I have to read, huh? All right, let's go ahead and read. Learning objectives. By the end of this lesson, you'll be able to explain what Claude is and the principles that guide its design, describe Claude's core capabilities and how it differs from a simple chatbot, identify the different ways to access Claude, web, desktop, and mobile. Okay. The video introduces Claude as more than a chatbot. It's an AI assistant designed to be your thinking partner. You'll learn what makes Claude different from other AI tools and see how it can help with a wide variety of work tasks. Key takeaways. Claude is built to be helpful, harmless, and honest. At a high level, Claude is guided by principles that help it avoid toxic or discriminatory outputs. Avoid helping humans engage in illegal or unethical activities and broadly behave as a helpful, honest, and harmless AI system. This approach, called constitutional AI, means Claude is trained to align with human values and operate transparently. So, real quick, this is one thing that I do like about Anthropic. I don't really fully understand how everything works under the hood at other places. But one of the nice things about Anthropic is that you can actually go and see their system prompt for Claude and actually know what's going into the system prompt, whereas like a lot of these other services, you kind of don't know that. So just kind of knowing what your bot is being told or what the LLM is being told beforehand is kind of nice. I kind of like that. Claude is more than a chatbot. Claude is capable of a wide variety of conversational and text processing tasks while maintaining a high degree of reliability and predictability, including summarization, search, creative and collaborative writing, Q&A, coding, and more. Think of Claude as a thought partner who can help you tackle complex problems and work through challenging situations, not just answer simple questions. Claude is designed to be steerable and collaborative. Claude can take direction Claude can take direction on personality, tone, and behavior, and early customers report that Claude is much less likely to produce harmful outputs, easier to converse with, and more steerable. So you can get your desired output with less effort. No comment. I've been using Claude only. I actually haven't tried the other ones, so no comment. You can access Claude wherever you work. Claude apps are available to all types: free, pro, max, team, and enterprise. Your conversations, projects, memory, and preferences sync across all devices when you're signed in. Whether you're at your desk or on the go, Claude is available through web, desktop, and mobile apps. So yes, this is true, but I'm mostly interested in Claude Code, and Claude Code is not available everywhere. So just a little disclaimer there. Claude is available. Anthropic does have an app, and obviously they have the desktop, I mean not the desktop, but the web app, and then there is a desktop and mobile app. So you can access Claude, but Claude Code is a little bit different. Claude Code is mostly known for interacting with your files, and that's like a very important difference to understand. All right, understanding Claude's capabilities. Claude can help with a wide range of tasks that go far beyond simple question and answer interactions to assistant-like partnership that can both automate and augment your work. Here's a few things Claude excels at. Let's see. Writing and content creation. Claude can collaborate with you on social media posts, professional emails, and complex reports. Because Claude is trained to take direction on personality and tone, you can iterate through on structure and clarity until your voice comes through clearly. This has definitely gotten pretty good. This has gotten a lot better. So what I actually like to do is I like to point Claude at a specific block of text or whatever. Like, so for example, if I had one of my articles and I wanted my generated article to look like that, to like have my voice and tone, I would say, hey Claude, here's my article. Now make this new article sound like my old article. Take a look at it, look at the way that I speak, reference it, and then generate it the way that I speak. It can do that. It's pretty good at it. It's gotten a lot better, actually. Research and analysis. Claude helps you explore research angles, compile findings, and analyze data to surface meaningful insights. You can upload documents and Claude will help you make sense of complex information. This is enabled by Claude's large context window, which can ingest 200,000 plus tokens, about 500 pages of text or more, allowing Claude to consider extensive materials in a single conversation. So this kind of gets into context windows, and one thing that I will say about Claude is that it's hard, like when you're working with Claude Code, it's hard to kind of know where you're at in your context window. They do give you like a reminder, like when you get towards the end of it, like at 10% left. But like being able to reason about how many tokens that actually is still very hard to do. Like, because even though you can see everything that Claude's doing, being able to fully understand, oh, this is taking this amount of tokens, this is taking that amount of tokens, and then how agents, and they'll get into this later, but how agents and their tokens work and all that other stuff. So it's like, it's really interesting how tokens work, and it's kind of hard to understand. So like this block of information is, while it's probably all true, it does all look true, but like it's not, it's still kind of hard to feel like what does 200,000 tokens actually mean. And then the fact that you're working on different projects, that also like comes into account too. Coding assistance. Claude Opus 4.5 is our most powerful model. This needs to be updated. 4.6 is the new one. Model yet, and the best coding model in the world. This strong performance on real-world coding tasks means Claude can help you write, debug, and explain code across multiple programming languages. yes, you can get very fast. Onboarding is like not a thing anymore. And the cool thing is that you can contribute to open source, like any project that you enjoy. I am so thorough when I comb through anything that Claude tries to PR with for open source stuff, but it is very good at getting up and running. Very good. Problem solving and reasoning. Claude handles complex cognitive tasks, mathematical problems, strategic analysis, and research. Claude Opus 4.5 and Sonnet 4.5 are hybrid models offering two modes, near instant responses and extended thinking for deeper reasoning. Extended thinking allows Claude to work through problems step by step, making it well suited for tasks that require careful analysis. So it doesn't matter what version you see here, most of this is going to be the same. So as long as you see the names Opus and Sonnet, those are like they're it's like kind of like a car, and like 4 or 5 is like the different versions of the different cars that you would have, but it's like all under the same car. Like they're all, you know, Corollas or whatever, right? So it's just like Opus is like the big one. Sonnet is like the one that's really good at coding. And then you'll also hear of another one, which you'll get, like you can get free access to, which is Haiku. That's the other one, and that's like the baby model. So like you got the big boy Opus, you got, you know, good with coding Ninja, and then you got the little baby Haiku. So they don't really mention Haiku because it's like, it does like very basic tasks. Learning new things. Whether you're learning a new skill, exploring unfamiliar domains, or working through complex challenges, Claude can adapt to your learning style and pace. Learning mode is a new Claude experience that guides your reasoning process rather than providing answers, helping develop critical thinking skills. So this is so important. I don't fully understand what this feature is, and I really want to learn about it because one of the things that we will see is that people are going to lose their ability to think critically. So I really hope, I hope, which and I know that it's not going to happen because people are just lazy, and laziness sells. So, but I hope that a lot of people do take advantage of being able to think critically because like with generative AI, you can move so fast and you have to think through all these different scenarios. So it's just like it's a lot because like you have an entire project flowing through your brain, and it's a lot to think about. It's a lot of decisions to process, especially if you're a programmer and you want to make sure that every one of these pieces are going to fit together. That is so important now. Get inspired on ways to use Claude in your specific function by exploring our use case gallery on Claude.com. Ways to access Claude. Claude is the intelligence, the AI assistant you're learning to work with through this course. That same intelligence is available across multiple interfaces, each suited to different types of tasks. Claude.ai, and the associated mobile and desktop apps are the primary way most people interact with Claude. We are not most people, we are developers. Here you can ask questions, brainstorm ideas, create and edit documents, and a lot more. Claude AI is ideal for conversations, writing assistance, research, analysis, and creating files. This is our focus in this course. So that's kind of unfortunate. This won't broadly apply to developers. Like I personally don't use Claude.ai very often. I do use the mobile apps sometimes. And I'll tell you right now what this is still good for. So if you're on the go and you're still thinking through a problem, like you know how you get those nasty cliffhanger bugs where it's just like you're right there and you're about to solve it, but then like it's the end of the day, or like you have to leave your computer or whatever. What these types of interactions with like the Claude ecosystem specifically is if you get that app, you could like be out and like while you're having that, you know, your subconscious solve this problem and then it finally clicks, you can rubber duck with AI. So highly recommend that you use these tool, like mostly the app. It's the app, like just use the mobile app. But like when you're on the go, this is a good way to bounce the ideas off. And then since your conversation will carry over if you have like the desktop or whatever, what you can do is you can use the app kind of as a file transfer in a way. So like anything that you send in the app will also appear on your desktop. And then like if you have like outputs from Claude or whatever, you can like copy those and then give them to Claude Code and then like go from there. It's it's one way to like be able to continue your thought process while you're on the go. Claude Code is an agentic coding tool that is designed for developers but can be used for all kinds of file manipulation on your desktop. Claude Code can directly edit files, run commands, and create commits. This is my favorite tool. Like, I also use OpenClaw. OpenClaw is also really good. But I think what I've landed on, because I've worked with OpenClaw and OpenClaw is nice for like, I want to just have a long going conversation and I want a bot that I control its memory. Like, I don't want a company to own my internal thoughts, if that makes sense. So, like, about in terms of privacy and like, I only want this very sensitive information to, I want to know where that's at. That's what I use OpenClaw for like ongoing, like, this is my life and these are my decisions and I want you to help me guide and guide me through it. And it uses Opus under the hood. But essentially, with Claude Code, the reason why I kind of like this one, the reason why I kind of like this more is because with something like a bot that you just talk to, like OpenClaw, it's like very removed. But Claude Code I actually like mostly as a strong like companion while I'm coding, because all the like the ability to steer it is actually really good. And a lot of the times I I don't even follow what it's probably going to give us for like best practices in terms of how to get your ideal output, because I rely so heavily on the steering. Like, this is the general idea. Get me there with like these concepts in mind. Like, maybe I'll think about architecture or whatever. Get me there with these concepts in mind, and then when you're done, then we'll like start shaving stuff off and I'll start steering you the way that I want you to go. Because interrupting it during its thought process, I learned it distracts not only the AI, but it also distracts myself. Like, so then like we're both like off on this weird tangent and we're talking about something kind of like this conversation right now. And like we're talking about something and then it's like we end up going down this kind of rabbit hole, but we don't get to finish the core idea before we start going down that rabbit hole. So I like having the core idea done while all the like the or organic original context is still within that context window. And then after that, I'll go back and I'll fix different avenues of the app. But yeah, like yeah, Claude Code, pretty good. Like it. Claude and Slack. Haven't used it like this yet. Let's see. Claude and Slack brings Claude directly into your team's communication tool. Ah, okay. So this is like this is like the OpenClaw thing. You can chat with Claude in the AI assistant header from any channel or conversation, or by mentioning at Claude in threads. When you connect Slack to Claude, Claude searches your workspace channels, direct messages, and shared files to find the context you need for better responses and research. This works. I use Discord with OpenClaw. Same general idea. This works. Still not stoked about this because these platforms aren't built for these agents. So might be building something for that. I don't know. Claude for Excel lets you work directly with Claude in a sidebar in Microsoft Excel where Claude can read, analyze, modify, and create new Excel workbooks. Claude for Excel is best for model analysis, assumption updates, error debugging, template population, formula expansion, and multi-tab navigation. This might be... I'm thinking, what if we used Claude inside of Excel, but used it for something like a Kanban type situation? I wonder if that's possible. I bet you it is. I'm gonna look into that. This course will focus primarily on Claude.ai, but you can also check out Claude Code in action for more information on using Claude in development workflows. I'll keep it development. We still got some development stuff in here. Lesson reflection. What tasks in your current work might benefit from having Claude as a thinking partner? Take a look at your calendar, or better yet, ask Claude to, and identify a few tasks you might want to use Claude to support. So one thing that I've been using Claude for lately is for ticket creation. We just lost RPM on our team, and now like I have to create all these stupid tickets, and I hate creating tickets. And also like I'm like a decent typer, but I'm not a fast typer. So like I don't want to be creating tickets. So again, the thing that I told you, look at one thing, reference it, copy the tone, use it in another thing. Do that with tickets now. Same thing. What's next? In this next lesson, you'll learn to navigate the Claude interface, start your first conversation, and understand the basics of how Claude responds to your messages. Feedback. As you progress through the course, we'd love to hear from you about how you're using concepts from the course in your work, and any feedback you may have. Share it here. All right, I'll send you a link to the video. All right. Estimated time, 20 minutes. I don't know, that it's going to take longer than 20 minutes. By the end of this lesson, you'll be able to start a new conversation with Claude and navigate the interface, write effective prompts using clear, specific language, upload files and images to provide Claude with additional context, use follow-up messages to iterate and refine Claude's responses. Let's go. Let's get...
Imagine this. You're looking at a blank page, wrestling with a big, complex project, and not sure where to start. What if you had a partner who could help you break it down? Claude is a powerful, intelligent collaborator that amplifies your capabilities across all of your work. Claude brings AI intelligence, but you bring the context and expertise that makes the work meaningful. Let's explore chatting with Claude, beginning with the sidebar. Here, you will encounter icons for creating new chats and jumping back into old ones. There are options for projects, where you can organize your conversations with persistent context and custom instructions. And then artifacts, which allow you to turn ideas into shareable apps, tools, or content. No matter what you hope to accomplish, Claude offers support to achieve your goals. All interactions with Claude begin with a prompt, and these prompts, combined with other context, impact its response. The best approach when speaking to Claude is like you would a coworker, naturally, concisely, and conversationally. But you may ask, what is a good prompt? Before your next conversation with Claude, consider a few things. 1. Setting the stage. What is your role and what are your objectives? Is there context about your work that Claude should know about? 2. Defining the task. What action do you want Claude to take? Do you want Claude to write, analyze, build, etc.? 3. Specifying rules. What's the style or tone you want Claude to use? Are there examples that you can attach to show Claude? Let's review this prompt below. First, we're setting the stage by telling Claude this is for an investor pitch deck for a new indie streaming app. That's the context and the objective. Then we define the task clearly by providing relative details. Finally, we specify the rules by using current web research with citations, structuring it as a professional report, which tells Claude exactly what style and format we need. Perfect. With your basic prompt in place, now comes the real power move, adding your specific context to make Claude's response truly tailored to your needs. When you upload relevant documents or background information into a specific chat, Claude considers that context in its response, whether that's company documents, project files, or background research. Think of it as a shortcut so that Claude can understand what your needs are. Claude can intake and output many file types such as PDF, CSV, docs, and more. In the Search and Tools menu, you can level up your experience yet again by giving Claude access to more tools to pull in more context, and will pull in these tools as needed while solving your request. You might toggle on options like web search to let Claude research current market data, or use connected data sources to pull from Google Drive, allowing access to real-time information. Claude will choose the right approach. While those options directly impact the information Claude has access to, there are a few more ways to customize how Claude responds. You can choose the best Claude model for your task.
Okay, hold on. This is just, it's, okay. Because it was just so much. It was just like bam, 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 bam. And it's good because they have to go through it, but like this is a lot. So what I would recommend is stick with Opus. So like since we're going through this one, since we're going through like the very beginning and it's essentially introducing you to how to use a LLM pretty much. Since we're starting from the very beginning, and if you are a developer and you only have some basic, I'll still give you some of this, like some of these use cases. But if you haven't used AI like this, if you haven't used Claude or any of the other LLMs, what you need to do is you need to start by just asking questions. Whatever comes into your mind. Literally, like, what are the top colors of a unicorn? Literally something just as dumb as that. That's your first thing. You just have to start asking questions because you need to ask something and see how it responds, and you need to get a feeling for how a conversation goes. And then you also need to go deep into whatever that conversation is. It doesn't matter what the topic is. If you're really just starting fresh, ask it a question that you are genuinely interested in. Whatever is at the top of your mind, your favorite anime episode, whatever. Ask it something and have as long of a conversation as you want, because it should be something super interesting. You talk to it like you would talk to another human, and I want you to see what that's like. And then somewhere after you've been talking to it for a while, I want you to ask it a question about something that you think that it should know. And I want you to see what that response is like. Because what you'll notice is this will be one way to learn about context windows, which they haven't really gone into yet. They talked about it, about that 200,000 token or whatever. This will help you understand how context windows work. After you go through that exercise, then what you're going to do is you're going to give it a document, and you're going to ask it about the document, and you can do the same thing. And again, once you have that long conversation, ask it at the very end of that very long conversation, ask it something, not specifically from the document, but ask it about something that it should have known from your earlier conversation. Again, you're going to see how context windows work, and this is one of the most important concepts to understand when you're learning about AI. Context windows are so important to understand because this will help you use AI effectively, especially when you're coding. So that's the first place I'm always going to recommend that you start. You start by asking questions to your AI. Whichever AI you choose, you always start by just asking random questions, and that will give you the best feel for what it behaves like.
Use the model selector, start chatting with Claude, or open an existing chat. The selected model will appear under your text input. To change it, click on the model name and choose which model of Claude you'd like to chat with instead. Changing the model will result in a new chat. Claude currently supports
So again, Opus, I recommend just starting off with Opus. Be careful how you use it though, because it's like it's the more expensive one. When you're on a subscription, you don't have to worry about like individual questions to your AI. You get like a certain amount of usage for each of those models. And I think it's token based, and Opus goes through way more tokens. It does more reasoning, so they'll go over reasoning, but yeah, just use Opus at first. Sonnet is really good. It's faster. It's really good at coding stuff, so you'll want to probably use Sonnet for like coding specific tasks, but Opus for when you're trying to learn, understand, have conversations, see how capable it really is. And again, don't worry about the numbers here. It's going to be Opus 4.6 when I release this video. It'll probably be Opus 5 something in the future, but it's going to be the same ideas.
Numerous models with distinct capabilities intended to meet specific users' needs. Use the Claude Opus model for your most complex tasks. It's the largest scale model with hybrid reasoning capabilities. For example, running a multi-step financial analysis. Claude Sonnet is the best choice for everyday users and is our recommended default mode. It balances sophisticated capabilities with cost effectiveness.
Sonnet is also
Think of it
better
like choosing the right tool
at
for the
coding in
job.
general.
You can always switch models based on what you're trying to accomplish. Extended thinking mode is particularly valuable for complex thinking and analysis, though it increases latency and may not be necessary for simple questions in everyday conversations. To get the fastest output for more straightforward tasks, you can start with Sonnet models and leave thinking mode off. If you need more support, you can change the model or turn on thinking mode. Research enables Claude to conduct systematic, multi-angle investigations by automatically breaking down complex questions and exploring hundreds of sources to deliver comprehensive, cited reports in 5 to 45 minutes. Claude does the research for you, while you focus on other high-value work. Now just wait as Claude delivers to you a well-crafted response that effectively accomplishes your task. But the real power of Claude comes with continued and frequent communication, not just one-off prompts. The more you interact with Claude, the better it becomes at understanding your communication style and preferences for future conversations. Working with Claude, you have a great partner and a powerful, intelligent collaborator that amplifies your capabilities across everything you work on. Claude brings AI intelligence to your work. You bring the context and expertise that makes the work meaningful.
Be careful with research. Research queries are very, they're very limited, very powerful. Really enjoy research queries. They will send you down a rabbit hole that is hard to get out of. Okay, key takeaways. Claude is a powerful, intelligent collaborator that amplifies your capabilities across all of your work. Claude brings AI intelligence, but you bring the context and expertise that makes the work meaningful. The best approach when speaking to Claude is like you would a coworker, naturally, concisely, and conversationally. These things kind of contradict each other, but okay. Before your next conversation with Claude, consider setting the stage, your role, objectives, and context, defining the task, what action you want Claude to take, and specifying rules, style, tone, and examples. When you upload relevant documents or background information into a chat, Claude considers that content in its response, thinking of it as a shortcut. Claude considers that content in its response, thinking of it as a shortcut so Claude can understand what your needs are. The real power of Claude comes with continued and frequent communication, not just one-off prompts. Yes and no. Context windows. Starting your first conversation. When you open Claude AI, you'll see a clean interface with a text input area at the bottom of the screen. So I'm not going to let you guys just like look at what I've been searching. You don't need to be knowing that. It's not that bad though. So we'll just do Claude AI. And let's go ahead. Kilo Loco returns. Yeah, he does, boy. Okay, so again, this is where I would normally start. I would start at the top of the line, and I would just want to learn about it. This is if you're like just beginning. Be careful because you don't want to just only use Opus. Again, Sonnet, you really should be using Sonnet too, but Opus is a really good spot to start, just so that you can see how powerful it is. Then you drop down to Sonnet and you try to understand what the differences are. Oh, Sonnet's faster. Oh, Sonnet doesn't think as much. Oh, Sonnet kind of gives me shorter answers than I really wanted. I kind of wanted it to talk to me. That's when you go back up to Opus and stuff like that. So, yeah. Let's see. You'll see a clean interface with text input area at the bottom of the screen. Your prompts can range from simple questions like brainstorming code names for a new feature to complex requests to co-create files. Writing effective prompts. All interactions with Claude begin with a prompt, and these prompts combined with other context impact Claude's response. The best approach when speaking to Claude is like you would a coworker, naturally, concisely, and conversationally. But you may ask, what is a good prompt? Before your next conversation with Claude, consider a few things. Setting the stage. What is your role? Did I already read this? I'll read it again. Who cares? What is your role and what are your objectives? Is there context about your work that Claude should know about? Defining the task. What action do you want Claude to take? Do you want Claude to write, analyze, build, or something else? Specifying rules. What's the style or tone you want Claude to use? Are there examples that you can attach to show Claude that you're looking for? Putting it together. Here's an example prompt that uses all three elements. I'm the marketing lead at an indie streaming startup, and we're preparing an investor pitch deck. Can you research the current state of the independent film streaming market and identify key trends, competitor positioning, and growth opportunities? Use current web research with citations and structure it as a professional report. This is a great prompt, except you don't know how to write a prompt, especially at this stage. So one, you don't have to do that. It's a best practice. You definitely should strive for it. What it mostly is going to be is you're going to want to start with like something small. So I'm working on an iOS app and I want to be able to record video. So that's going to be like what the hell? All right, I had to sign in and do some weird stuff. I don't know. Anyways, let's go ahead and say we wanted to create an iOS app, or I wanted to add in a new feature into my iOS app. I wanted to add in video filtering, right? I wanted to add filters to my video. How can I add video filters to my iOS app? So when you first start out, this is the type of thing that you'll probably ask. This is so much more realistic than what they put. Obviously, you want to try to get to where they're telling you to go, and you want to have good prompts, but this is the realistic situation. You're going to ask a basic question, right? Claude is going to give you some information, and it's going to guess based off of what you asked. It's going to have to make some guesses and assume a couple of things, right? How can I add video filters to my iOS app? Now, it already went ahead and recommended using core image or using a CI filter, right? But it might be pulling from the knowledge that it knows about me. It knows that I'm an iOS dev. It knows that I've been doing this for a while. It knows all these things about me. So it's able to understand that, like, oh, I just probably want to do that. But you have to be careful with these types of questions, because when you ask something like this, how can I add video filters to my iOS app? That could mean so many different things, right? Because you might be like the owner of an app, right? You might not be the developer. You might just be like the person that owns it, or the company that owns it. So you don't know what specifically to ask for, and if you don't give it that context, it's just going to try to give you the best guess. In this case, like I said, it probably has access to, like, it has context around like who I am, so it gave me the code straight away. But you have to just like understand, like, oh, you know what, like I actually didn't want to use core image. Is there like another way? So like, let's say there was something about this response, right? There's going to be something about the response that you don't like, or maybe it guessed incorrectly. That's when you start to build on your prompt. So this is like the beginning of prompt engineering, kind of. So like what you would do is you would go to the edit. So you see how it has like the little pencil? So you'd go to edit, and then you would build on top of this prompt. This is much more realistic than, oh, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that and I'm gonna think about this, and oh, like, did I craft the right prompt? The reality of the situation is this thing was trained based off of the way that humans speak. If you just ask it and then you realize, like, oh, it could be talking about a million different things, then it might get it wrong. So you might have to go back and reiterate over, you refactor your prompt. So how can I add video filters to my iOS app without using using core image directly? And then maybe I'm also curious, are there any libraries that could do this? Are there any, let's go third party libraries I could use instead? So then what it's going to do, so now that I've refactored my question, it's going to essentially like rewrite the conversation, and it's going to give me a different one. So it's going to give me a different option. Now this is pretty interesting because it was able to fire back right away, and you can click like the link to kind of see what it did. It didn't go out and it didn't like hit the internet or anything from what I can tell here. So it's just literally responding with what it's been trained with. And that's another thing that you have to be conscious of, is that you have to be aware of like what it's trained on. Is it giving you old information, or is it just is it going through and going to different sites and gathering sources to give you the up-to-date information? So that's like one of the things that you do have to consider when you're like adding and working with prompts. All right, back to the course. So in this prompt, setting the stage, we tell Claude this is for an investor pitch deck for a new indie streaming app. That's the context and objective. Defining the task, we provide the specific action, research the market with relevant details, trends, competitors, opportunities, specifying rules. We ask for current web research with citations, structured as a professional report telling Claude exactly what style and format we need. Want to go deeper? This prompt framework is adapted from the 4D framework for AI Fluency, developed through research collaboration between Professor Rick Dakin, Ringling College of Art and Design, and Professor Joseph Feller, University College Cork. The framework identifies 4 core competencies: delegation, description, discernment, and diligence that enable effective collaboration with AI. Take our free AI Fluency course to learn how all 4 competencies work together to enable efficient, effective, ethical, and safe AI use. Adding context. Uploads, connectors, and custom preferences offer ways to give Claude even more context about your work. Claude can analyze both text and visual elements like images, charts, and graphics. I don't really fully understand the whole, it understands images. Like if you send it a JPEG of something, I think it might have some basic image detection, but I wouldn't really, I haven't really used Claude for that. I don't know how well it actually does with image detection. So try that out. What I do know is like if you send it a PDF or like an image with text in it, it will use OCR to be able to read what text is in there, and that's some of the context that it gathers. But in terms of like specific images, I'm not entirely sure. I can also say that it's really good at understanding well, I wouldn't say really good, but it's good enough at understanding what's happening in screenshots, whether like if you're referring to like a website or more specifically what's happening in your app, like oh, like there's too much white space here or whatever. It could kind of see some of that. It's not like great because like it's kind of hard to get those that exact information from an image, but it's pretty good at understanding it when you're trying to do debugging. So visual debugging is a thing. Some practical ways to use file uploads. Upload a document and ask Claude to summarize the key points. Pretty good. Share an image and ask Claude to describe or analyze what it sees. Attach a spreadsheet and ask Claude to identify trends in the data. Upload code and ask Claude to explain how it works or find bugs. Yeah, it does all of those pretty good. Once uploaded, Claude will automatically attempt to parse the file's content. In the chat, the file appears as an attachment and you can then prompt Claude about it. Pro tip: if you'd like Claude to consider specific preferences in every response, you can add those within settings. I don't really like that type of thing. It makes me feel like I'm in an echo chamber. But if it works for you. Iterating on Claude's responses. Conversations with Claude are meant to be iterative. Chaining bite-sized prompts together allows for a natural dialogue where you guide the conversation based on Claude's replies. If Claude's first response isn't quite what you wanted, you have several options. Ask follow-up questions. Build on Claude's response by asking for more detail, a different angle, or clarification. For example, can you expand on the second point? Or that's helpful, but can you make it more concise? Provide feedback. Tell Claude what you liked and didn't like about its response. This is good, but the tone is too formal. Can you make it more conversational? Redirect or restart. If Claude went in a different direction than you intended, simply steer it back. Actually, I was asking about X, not Y. Let me clarify. Worst case, restart your conversation in a new chat to fully refresh the context. So this is kind of what I showed, like the redirect and restart. What I will say is like the first, like it really depends on how you choose to use your AI. Like if you choose to use Claude, it really depends on how you like to use it. Again, I like to steer after the fact. I've worked with Claude a lot. I've done the whole, we're going to build the perfect context and everything. Yeah, like I do like to focus a lot of time on that first initial prompt. Like that's the most important. But in terms of going back and re-steering, like midway through the conversation, I generally don't like to do that. Like if you start going down a hole and then you need to do something very big, don't do it in the middle of the conversation. Like the best thing to do is make sure that you start the conversation very strong. Put as much context as you possibly can, all the relevant information that you can. Do not, like if you can, try to get that information to Claude without it having to go search for it, because then it just uses up tokens more. But essentially, start really strong. I know that I said like try to iterate over your prompt. Iterate over the first one. That's where it's most important. If it's starting to go off in the wrong direction from the start, just start over. Just start over. You really want to focus on giving it a good start, and then you can steer it really strongly afterwards. And that gets you there almost every time. Put it into practice. Before moving on, try prompting Claude with a question or task. If you need an idea to get started, feel free to explore our use case gallery. What's next? In the next lesson, we'll explore how to give Claude direction, adjusting its tone, format, and approach to match exactly what you need. Feedback. As you progress through the course, we'd love to hear you. Okay, so I'm just going to go on to the next one. Go ahead and try it out. Again, start with a question. Go through, I want you to try to break your context window. That means just have a really long conversation, then ask it a question about something that it should remember and see how well it does remember those specific details. That is the most important thing. Understanding where your context window breaks, what it's like when it does break, and what you have to be ready for. So this one is getting better results. Learning objectives. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to recognize common challenges when starting out with AI and use troubleshooting techniques to overcome them. Define AI fluency and know where to go to learn more about working with AI in a fluent way. Explain how you might set up evals to better understand how Claude might perform with your unique workflows. Common challenges and how to fix them. As you start working with Claude, you'll likely encounter moments where the response isn't quite what you expected. This is normal, and it's an opportunity to refine your approach. Here are some of the most common challenges and how to address them. Claude's response is too generic. So that's the challenge. What's happening? Your prompt didn't include enough context about your specific situation. So kind of like the first example that I gave. Try this. Add details about your audience, role, or constraints. Instead of write an email about the project delay, try write an email to the enterprise client explaining what the software integration will be delayed by 2 weeks. Explaining that the software integration will be delayed by 2 weeks. They've been patient so far, but this is a second delay. Keep it professional but apologetic. The response is too long or too short. Claude is guessing at appropriate length. Be explicit. Give me a 2-paragraph summary, or keep this under 100 words. Or I need a comprehensive analysis. Length isn't a concern. So this is a good one. I would say be very careful, especially when coding, with length. And you might want to, I've done this very gently in terms of length, because like during code, like you kind of have to, when you have Claude write all your code, you don't really get to describe, oh, keep it short. But what I have done is I've told it to keep the scope narrow and to focus in on a very particular part of the scope. This way it's not going and creating all this additional over-engineered code. So it's pretty good at not doing that, but like you can also have it go after like a bare bones MVP style approach. So those are the types of terminology that I throw at Claude. Like give me like an MVP or a POC, like a proof of concept. So those are like ways to kind of control the length when you're doing it from a code perspective. But yeah, like doing this as well, also important. Just remember that longer responses fill your context window obviously faster. Claude didn't follow my format. Claude understood what you want, but not how you want it presented. Show, don't just tell. Provide an example of the format or describe the structure explicitly. Use bullet points with bold headers for each section. So yeah, you'll probably become a markdown expert when working with AI. That's just kind of how it goes. But like I said, referencing something, pointing it, giving it something that's already in a structured format, an article, a JIRA ticket, whatever kind of ticket, an issue, you give it that, use it as a reference, bam, you got the same general tone for, your new generation or whatever. I got confident sounding information that turned out to be wrong. Claude occasionally generates plausible but incorrect information, especially with specific facts or niche topics. For high stakes work, verify key facts independently. Ask Claude to cite sources or indicate confidence level. Enable web search to ground responses in current information. So this goes into how models are trained. You have to understand that models are trained and then they are shipped out to the world. This is true with all LLMs. This is why they have versioning 4.6 or whatever. So when the most recent one, 4.6, dropped, right? It dropped, I think, maybe last month in February. But the cutoff date might be like December of 2025, for example, right? I don't know when the cutoff date was, but essentially it can only get information up to a specific point, and then they have to stop it because then they have to shove that information into the model, and then they have to package it up and get it out to people, and that takes a long time. So what you end up with is a model that has a lot of the newer information, but it doesn't have like the most recent information. So like if you wanted to know something about that, something that happened on the news today, it wouldn't just magically know that information. It would need access to the information. It would need access to the internet to go get the information, and then it would be able to like tell you about it. The iteration mindset. One of the most important shifts when working with Claude is recognizing that your first prompt rarely produces a perfect result. See, I know what I'm talking about. And that's okay. Think of your initial prompt as the start of a conversation, not a one-shot request. Effective Claude users treat first drafts as starting points. Review what effective Claude users treat first drafts as starting points. Review what Claude produces, identify what's working and what isn't, then refine. I might be an effective Claude user, huh? Give specific feedback. Make it shorter is fine, but cut the first 2 paragraphs and make the conclusion more action-oriented is better. Know when to start fresh. If a conversation has gone off track, sometimes it's faster to open a new chat with a clearer prompt than to try to redirect. So this is kind of true. It just, no, I mean, it really is true, but like, what you really have to learn to balance is how much of the context is probably being saved. So once you learn what Claude is likely to do and how its memory kind of works, you can bank on that and you can get further in these conversations by like understanding how it keeps its context and compacts its context when you're moving forward. So I haven't been able to really put that into words, but I'm able to go a lot longer in conversations now, even though I have to compact my context a lot of the time. We'll talk about that later, probably in Claude Code. But essentially, just again, understanding what happens with context and compaction, it's super important. Have long conversations with Claude. You'll see what I mean. What is AI fluency? AI fluency is the ability to collaborate effectively with AI tools, not just knowing which buttons to click, but developing the judgment to use AI well across different situations. I might be AI fluent. The 4D framework for AI fluency, developed through research collaboration between Professor Rick Dakin and Professor Joseph Feller, identifies 4 core competencies that, when combined, can help you make the most of your AI interactions. Delegation, deciding on what work should be done by humans, what work should be done by AI, and how to distribute tasks between them. Includes understanding your goals, AI capabilities, and making strategic choices about collaboration. Description, effectively communicating with AI systems. Includes clearly defining outputs, guiding AI processes, and specifying desired AI behaviors and interactions. Discernment, thoughtful and critically evaluating AI outputs, processes, behaviors, and interactions. Includes assessing quality, accuracy, appropriateness, and determining areas of improvement. Diligence, using AI responsibly and ethically. Includes making thoughtful choices about AI systems and interactions, maintaining transparency, and taking accountability for AI-assisted work. Yeah. Yeah. I think discernment's a really good one. Knowing what to knowing what to leave out is also super important. Sometimes as I'm writing out my thoughts to Claude, I'll be like, oh, like I want to do it because of this, because of this, because you get so used to just like giving context. Like you want to give context so that you can get the best answer. But you also need to know when you adding some context is going to essentially, it's going to like steer the conversation in a way that is like not actually helpful. So being able to choose what context you do actually give Claude versus what context you leave out of Claude and what task you're trying to achieve, that's super important. You've already been practicing these skills throughout this course. The prompt framework from lesson 2, setting the stage, defining the task, specifying rules, is rooted in description. The troubleshooting techniques above draw on discernment and diligence. To learn more, check out our free AI Fluency course that explores all 4 competencies in depth with practical exercises and real-world applications. Evaluating Claude for your workflows. As you start integrating Claude into more of your work, you might wonder, how do I know if Claude is actually good at this particular task? This is where evals, short for evaluations, comes in. Evals are systematic ways to test how well Claude performs on specific types of tasks that matter to you. I actually don't know this. Why evals matter? Your work is unique. Claude might excel at drafting marketing copy, but need more guidance for technical documentation in your specific domain. Running simple evals helps you. Understand where Claude adds the most value in your workflow. Identify tasks where you'll need to provide more context or examples. Build confidence in Claude's outputs for recurring tasks. A simple eval approach. You don't need complex infrastructure to evaluate Claude. Here's a practical approach. Gather examples. Collect 5 to 10 examples of a task you do regularly. Emails you've written, reports you've created, analyses you've done. Create test prompts. Write prompts that would generate similar outputs. Include the context you'd naturally have when doing this. Compare outputs. Run your prompts and compare Claude's responses to your examples. Ask yourself, does Claude capture the key information? Is the tone and style appropriate? What's missing or could be improved? Refine your approach. Based on what you learn, adjust your prompts, add examples to show Claude what good looks like, or identify where human review is essential. So this is just A/B testing. Okay, so I think I have done this, but is there like a tool or a slash command? I'm not that part I don't understand. Data analysis.
In our last lesson, we dealt with data privacy and security, what you absolutely need to protect and how to do it. So now let's talk about the question that's probably stopped you from using AI for data analysis in the first place. How can I trust the results? Today's lesson is about the delegation diligence loop, specifically building confidence in AI's analytical capabilities for your specific work by systematically testing it against data you already understand. By doing this, you can better understand how AI will support your specific circumstances. The process starts with delegation. Here's how this works. First, identify a specific
It's their
analytical
audio,
task
by the way,
you do
not mine.
regularly that you want to delegate to AI. Find past data where you already completed the analysis, and then work with AI to reproduce what you did, evaluating what works and what doesn't. Refine your approach and test again. If AI can match your known results, you know how to use it and trust it for similar future tasks. And if not, you've learned that this task is something you shouldn't delegate. So let me show you what this looks like in practice, and then we'll talk through what to do if you're not that data savvy to begin with. Meet Rio. the program director at Valley Veterans Services. Every quarter, he analyzes program attendance alongside employment outcomes, calculating participation rates, tracking monthly changes, and determining whether attendance correlates with job placement success. This analysis consistently takes him hours. Considering delegation, Rio knows he wants to continue using the results of this analysis to improve his program. He wants to interpret the results himself, but he could do without the data cleaning and formula mayhem he usually finds himself in to do the actual analysis. So in order to test whether AI is appropriate in this scenario, he's going to evaluate it using last quarter's data. He knows exactly what this data showed after he analyzed it without AI, and he has the raw, messy data from before he started. This is his test case. Rio uploads the data and starts to work with AI, using description and discernment to perform his analysis. Only each time AI responds, Rio is going to check the results against what he knows to be true and jot down potential gaps in AI's reasoning. Sometimes additional description helps AI get the outcome he's looking for. In these cases, Rio knows he has to include that kind of information for future data analysis tasks. Other times, Rio might find legitimate capability gaps. This is the delegation diligence loop in action. Rio's diligence to evaluate the model's capabilities.
Okay, so this isn't like something that they actually solve. This is just like, oh, you should be doing this. Yes, this is just like A/B testing. You're essentially A/B testing your outputs, and you're trying to get it as close as possible. This is like if you're going to have AI inside of your mobile app, for example, what you would do is you would the way that you would do this is like, let's say that you have a bunch of users, and you know, they have profile information, and you can, like, I don't know, like go through like one of the settings on their profile on like one of the categories, and you could essentially gather information. You can pass in all that information, right? Like your entire user row into the AI to have it like generate additional information, or recommend, right? Like recommendations, those types of things. So you can have it do that. And what you would want to do, I guess probably the easiest example would be like the one that I know about, which is where you're trying to get AI to be like in a chatbot type situation, right? Like you want to add a chatbot to your app, and you want to be able to have the AI help the customer as much as you want, or as much as it can. And the problem with just allowing a customer to type directly to the AI is that it can go off the rails and it can just start talking about anything. So what you would want to do is you would want to do some A/B testing in terms of you'd have the user have specific answers that they can respond with, right? And they can help scope down the type of context that's given to the AI, to Claude, before you start using it and you send off the API call or whatever. And what you would do is you would check, okay, when a user responds with this one, with A versus B, you know, they get these types of results, and then they get those types of results for B, and you would essentially just see which one gets you closer to what you want. So it's, I guess the skill to learn is A/B testing. There's nothing that, it doesn't seem like there's a specific tool that's like helping you here.
Can change what he chooses to delegate to AI in the future. His first attempt might look like, I'm sharing attendance data and employment outcome data from our job training program last quarter. Please analyze the participation patterns across the 3 months and graph the correlations between attendance levels and employment success. I'm particularly...
You can also like reverse engineer stuff in a way, like, so like let's say that you go through this long conversation, you get everything that you want, like after you've had a long conversation, you weren't able to just like one shot it the way that they're showing here. Go through the long conversation. If you get Claude to do something that's very good, You ask it to generate the prompt for you in order to be able to get this output, and then you can have it say like, or you could like say, oh, templatize it or something like that. And then you can have it plug in, like you can have it be in a way to where you can plug in the different variables into your template or whatever. And like, since you asked it to give you a prompt that would produce the same result that you had from that conversation, it's one way to like fast track that A/B testing, because now it's like you at least get the A version, and then you can start tweaking, and that would be your B version, and then you start 6-7ing from there, I guess.
Interested in understanding whether consistent attendance predicts better job placement outcomes. AI responds with a summary. But rather than assuming this is fact, Rio checks this against his records and notes what's good and what's not. AI correctly identified the correlation between program attendance and job placement, but it missed a critical insight around the combined housing assistance and job placement program. So Rio refines his description, asking AI to try again, but pay special attention to the program type. This time, AI catches its mistake. So Rio notes that for future quarters, he'll need to specifically request the AI to consider the program type when performing its analysis. Then he tests something harder. Can you also look at this based on when participants enrolled? AI responds as Rio observes that despite not knowing the enrollment data, AI could help extract it. He makes a note to cross-reference these results later on. By going through this process, Rio has systematically validated what AI can and can't do for his quarterly reporting. He's learned that with the right description, AI can accurately reproduce the analysis he used to do manually. But he's also identified clear limitations and areas for follow-up. AI needs enrollment dates in the data to do cohort analysis, otherwise it'll try to infer them, which he doesn't want. And most importantly, Rio now has a tested approach that he can confidently use with this quarter's data and clear notes about what information he needs to include and what context he still needs to add himself. When Rio uses this validated approach with new data, his diligence continues. He'll check whether numbers make sense based on what he knows about his programs. He'll take accountability for the final report, and he'll be transparent about AI's role if asked. But now he's working from validated confidence, not guesswork. So here's the framework. Identify a specific analytical task that you want to delegate. Be precise about what you need. Then find past data where you already completed that analysis. You need the right answers to evaluate whether AI can arrive at them. Work with AI to reproduce your past analysis and systematically evaluate the results. What did AI produce? How did it approach the task? How did it communicate findings? Identify gaps, refine your delegation, and then test again. If you can validate that AI produces correct results, you've built an approach that you can confidently use on new data. But if you can't get there after several refinements, you've learned that this isn't a task you should delegate. So this is all great, but what if you're not very comfortable with the data to begin with and wouldn't be able to spot those process gaps yourself? AI can also be a useful tool to brainstorm and implement solutions you might not have thought of on your own. Because AI models are uniquely good at coding, they can help with things like writing Excel formulas, reformatting messy data, and more. In these cases, you can simply bring your question or idea to AI and specifically ask for help understanding what a solution could look like, just like how you would work with a data analyst on your team. As you work with AI, just keep asking for clarifications and explanations so that you can follow the process and understand the final output. Just remember, validation builds confidence, but it doesn't eliminate responsibility. You're still accountable for checking that these results make sense and being transparent about AI's role in your analysis process. This testing works for any analytical task you're considering: donor analysis, budget forecasting, survey synthesis, outcome tracking. Test first, validate what works, then apply with more confidence, or learn what you shouldn't delegate at all. In our next lesson, we'll look at workflow augmentation and how to apply these same principles when AI handles routine tasks on your behalf.
Okay. So, yeah, another thing that came to mind was that, so there's A/B testing, and then there's also, so like that was just like a disclaimer pretty much. This is just like a disclaimer video, like, oh, AI can be wrong. You should really, you should really pay attention to what happens, because it could be wrong, and it could be wrong in small areas. This is why they're telling you to go based off of results that you know know what to expect. How does that translate to code? Well, that kind of translates, and don't, like, you don't have to go fully, but this translates to code by if you consider the idea of test-driven development. If you have Claude write the tests first, and you then ensure that the test is a valid test, right? Like, make sure that it's a legitimate test and it tests what it's supposed to do. What you can do is you can have the test written that will be the key piece that will let you know whether or not Claude can do this thing or not. And you can have it go and try to iterate through until it can make the test pass. That's one tip. Another tip is to damn, I forgot it. So you can do the iterating over it. Let me see. You could do the testing thing, and then let me see. Compare outputs. I forgot what I was gonna say. It's all right. If it comes back to me, I'll tell you. The video above is taken from our AI Fluency for nonprofits course, but the example is relevant for anyone working with the data in AI to evaluate how Claude might work with your data. I remember what it was. So, for example, the one thing that I know that Claude is bad at is that when it's working specifically on iOS and you start working with concurrency and like threading and all that other stuff, interestingly, it will resort to lock mechanisms, which you don't really need to know much about locks, but essentially it's an older version of it's an older way, or a more established way. It's a more established way of doing asynchronous programming, or handling concurrency, essentially. And like, one of the interesting things is that it does recommend NSLock. And if you're familiar with NSLock, you know that it's like, you wouldn't normally use NSLock in your mobile app. Like, that's not something you would normally do, like when you're dealing with like UI and stuff. You would usually use something like Grand Central Dispatch, or now like with Swift concurrency, you'd probably use something like that. But to be using NSLock, it's really interesting. So it's like, you'll see Claude do stuff, and they'll correct it. Like, it might even be corrected in 4.6, I don't know. But like, you'll see that Claude will have these tendencies to do stuff incorrectly. And for whatever reason, that is something that you need to be, like, for whatever that reason is, you need to be aware of how long that, like, you need to be aware of that, like, hole, right? You need to be aware of that pattern to look out for, because if you end up putting like NSLock into your simple iOS app, you're going to end up with like gridlock on the main thread, and like, it's yeah, you don't want to be there. So yeah, don't do that. The video is taken, yeah, so we already went through that. Find a data set you've manually analyzed, create prompts that request Claude to do the analysis on your behalf, compare Claude's results to your originals, note patterns, and refine your prompt accordingly. Maybe Claude gets the right numbers, but misses the overall patterns. This kind of lightweight evaluation helps you develop intuition for how to work with Claude on tasks that matter to you, and where to focus your review and refinement energy. So code reviews are super important. You can have Claude also help you review the code, but I still think that it's super important that you review the code in larger projects, like for work stuff. If you're just vibe coding, then you don't really have to review the code a whole lot. You know, you should, but like, you don't have to. You know, you got to start somewhere, and having a more fleshed out MVP is a lot better than having a perfectly working app, right? So now you can have a more polished looking and fully functional with all the bells and whistles type MVP, as opposed to before where, you know, you might be able to focus primarily on the implementation and you make sure that you build on a strong foundation. That's no longer needed for these types of apps. You can write out the test suite after it's built, right? Then have it go back through and refactor everything to make sure that everything's working against your test suite, and then bam, you have, you have not only the nice app, but you also have the well built app too. Lesson reflection. Before moving on, consider which of the common challenges have you already encountered? What techniques might you try next time? I think I gave you a couple. Where in your work would a simple eval help you understand if Claude is a good fit for a recurring task? Yeah, don't trust it with any big company decisions. Have it build scripts for you that will generate the output based off of the input. Only use AI when you need to use AI. Don't use AI for everything. You don't need to use AI for everything. You don't need to rely on AI for everything. Good old-fashioned programming is still great. And it's a lot less tokens. How might the 4D framework help you think about your collaboration with Claude? What's next? In the next module, you'll learn how to organize your work with Claude using projects, dedicated workspaces where you can store knowledge, set custom instructions, and collaborate with teammates. All right, let's go on to the next section. Estimated time, 20 minutes. Learning objectives. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to explain what projects are and when to use them, create a new project with a name, description, and visibility settings, add documents and files to your project's knowledge base, write effective project instructions to guide Claude's behavior, share projects with teammates for Claude for Work users.
What are projects, and how do they improve working with Claude?
I will say I'm not a huge fan of projects. I don't like feeling like I'm in an echo chamber. I really don't like that. I need to be able to get raw, fresh ideas, and I need to make sure that they're unbiased a lot of the time. I don't always want context. Always having context is not a good thing in my opinion. I'm not a huge fan of projects.
With projects, Claude users can create self-contained environments with their own chat histories, specific knowledge bases, and customized settings.
And before we go on, the way that I use projects is with Claude Code, and I just go in there in that specific repo, like in that directory on my computer, and I put all the documents there. So I do a version of it, but I don't like having my information leaked across all these different chats. Don't like it.
We're going to provide an overview of projects, what they are used for, how to create them, and some advanced features. Let's talk about a few of the key features of projects. Project knowledge enhances Claude's understanding by allowing you to upload relevant documents within each project. Every time you chat with Claude inside of a project, this knowledge is automatically considered alongside your prompt. This contextual information enables Claude to deliver more informed, project-specific responses that align with your team's goals, terminology, and background. Projects can handle much more content without running into limits. Projects with lots of information are automatically processed using retrieval augmented generation, enabling Claude to use more context to help you. When setting up a project, you can define project instructions for each project to further tailor Claude's responses. Like context, these
There it goes.
are considered every time you chat with Claude. It's a good space to guide the way Claude responds. For example, you can ask Claude to use a more formal tone or answer questions from a specific perspective, targeting a specific industry. If you're on a Claude for Work plan, you can share projects with other members of your organization, enabling powerful collaboration and knowledge-sharing capabilities. For example, a brand team can create a project with voice and tone guidelines that helps anyone at their company write like a marketer. Okay, let's get started by creating your first project in 3 simple steps.
Okay, real quick. So this is a really strong use case for marketing. But yeah, marketing, you kind of want to keep everything, like all the verbiage the same. So this is a strong use case.
Click New Project and give it a name. Next, describe your project.
Same thing
and
with
what you were hoping
like
to
if you
achieve.
wanted to do like your
I would like
iOS
to make
app, that could be the
brand
project,
guidelines
right?
To write a series of
And you
case
can
study
have
blogs
ideas
for my
around it.
flower business. Click Create Project. To the right of the project title, you see a few menu items. You can star this project for quicker access, and edit project details, and archive or delete the project. Provide Claude with relevant instructions and information for the chats within the project. This will work alongside user preferences and the selected style. Choose visibility for your project. You can choose private for personal use or public for team collaboration. From here, provide project instructions and information for the chats within the project. This will work alongside the user preferences and the selected style. Click on Instructions to define how Claude should respond. Within this space, you can specify tone, expertise level, response style, and desired outcomes, or simply give more context on what you're trying to achieve with this project. For instance, when providing the brand guidelines, explain the thought process and highlight tone and brand application. Once done providing instructions, click Save Instructions. This will apply to every chat in the project. You'll find the Files menu on the right side of your project's main page. Anything you upload to this space will be used across all of your chats within this project. Click on the plus button to add content to the project. You can upload PDFs, documents, CSVs, text files, or connect to Google Drive. Now Claude can instantly reference this content in any conversation. Claude will process this information and use it as context in your chats within the project. For example, if you are working on creating new brand guidelines for a specific client, you can upload their existing branded materials and Claude will reference that file in its response. Note that context is not shared across disparate chats within a project unless the information is added into the project knowledge base. Sometimes your project knowledge will approach the context window limit. Claude will automatically enable RAG mode to expand your project's capacity. Once your project is set up, you can initiate chats with Claude within the project. You can learn more about best practices for chatting in Claude by reviewing one of our other videos. You can make chats public so teammates can view and build onto your work. There are 3 permission levels that control who can do what in your projects. Can view members can view project contents, access knowledge, and chat, but can't make changes. Think read-only access with discussion rights. Can edit members have full collaboration power. They can modify instructions, update knowledge, manage members, and actively contribute to the project. Project creators control everything, plus they decide who sees the project. They can share with specific people or make private projects visible to the entire organization. The right permissions keep your project secure while enabling smooth collaboration, so pick the options that work best for your team. Here are some of Claude's collaboration features. Check out the Shared with Me tab to easily find projects that others have shared with you. You will receive email notifications when someone shares a project with you, and project creators can modify permissions or remove access as needed. Multiple members can contribute documents, create chats, and work together within the same project environment, making projects ideal for team collaboration. Sometimes you need to use content without adding it to your project's knowledge base. No problem. Simply upload it during the conversation and it stays separate from your project knowledge. It's a perfect way to share context or examples without cluttering the knowledge base. Here are some examples of projects you can create. You can create a new product for market, like managing the development process of a new product from ideation to launch, like an eco-friendly water bottle. Useful for keeping all product-related information in one place, using Claude for creative ideation, and tracking the evolution of the product design. Claude can streamline the content creation process by generating content ideas, providing writing assistance, and maintaining consistency across platforms. You can design and develop an educational course like Anthropic's AI Fluency coursework. In projects, you can organize course materials, use Claude to help explain complex concepts, and iteratively improve the course content. You can create a project to track, analyze, and plan personal finances for your personal financial goals and budget. Keeping all financial information in one secure place Claude can analyze spending patterns and help with financial calculations and planning. Or you can plan and manage a home renovation, like updating a kitchen space. Centralize all project information, use Claude to help with the design idea and budget calculations, and keep track of all decisions and communications. These examples demonstrate the flexibility of what can be done with projects in Claude. Whether you're working on professional tasks, personal goals, or collaborative efforts, projects can help you organize information, generate ideas, and streamline your work process. Remember, you can customize each project to fit your specific needs and workflow. For more information on getting started with projects, check out our Help Center article.
So if I was gonna like use projects probably in like a tech setting, it'd most likely be, like I said, I'm weird about my data, but if I was gonna use project, it would most likely be on like startups, or maybe like in teams. I don't know if I'd want to do it on a team or not, because there's very little that you get to control when you're on a team at a bigger company. But with a startup, I kind of like, I like the idea better for like a startup, because like when you're in the startup days, it's like really fun because you get to wear like a lot of different hats. There's a lot more autonomy, and like being able to have a knowledge dump would be kind of nice. I think that would have been nice when I was working at like my first job, which was like just 3 of us at the, like when we first started. So that would be really cool. Projects are self-contained workspaces with their own memory, chat histories, knowledge bases, and customized instructions. Think of them as dedicated environments for specific work streams. Project knowledge enhances Claude's understanding by letting you upload relevant documents that Claude references across all chats within that project. No more re-uploading the same files each time. This was actually helpful when I was like, projects are good for like also rubber ducking your ideas if you have a really big idea. Project instructions guide Claude's behavior. You can specify tone, expertise level, response style, and more. These instructions apply to every conversation within the project. Projects scale automatically. When your knowledge base approaches context limits, Claude seamlessly enables retrieval augmented generation, RAG, mode to expand capacity by up to 10x while maintaining response quality. For Claude for Work users, projects enable collaboration. Share projects with teammates so everyone benefits from the same context, instructions, and accumulated knowledge. What are projects? Projects are ideal for storing knowledge Claude should reference, organizing related chats around a specific topic or work area, and collaborating with team members who need access to the same shared context. When to use projects. Projects are particularly valuable when you're working on something ongoing, not just a one-off question. Consider creating a project when you have a workflow with reference materials you'll use repeatedly, meeting notes, survey results, reports, historical data, etc. Consistent requirements for how Claude should respond. Always use formal language, always cite sources, always follow our template. Team collaboration needs, where multiple people should work from the same foundation. Creating your first project. Setting up your project takes just a few minutes. Here's how to get started. 1. Set up your project. Hover over the left sidebar and click Projects. Navigate directly to Claude AI/projects. Okay, let's go over there. And we go to projects, we could do a new project. Claude courses, where we learning about Claude and its abilities. All right. And then you can like do this. Oh, it probably looks different for a lot of people. So this is what it'll look like for you. Instructions, files. The files thing is actually pretty helpful. Don't be scared to spin up a project where you want to like have conversations against the same context over and over again, and just throw away that project. Like if you have different ideas and you're going in different ways, like say that you're going to start a new app or something like that, you might want to start a project for your app just to get it started. Like if you wanted to dump everything, if you wanted to have conversations about anything, ask different questions to Claude and all that other stuff, like you can do all of that inside of a project, and then you can just throw it away. So I've done that. It's really like, this is like next level rubber ducking. So check that out. Yeah, click new project, give your project a descriptive name, add a brief description of what you're working on. While Claude doesn't see this description directly, it helps you and your teammates understand the project's purpose. Choose your visibility setting. Keep it private or share with your organization. For Claude for work users. Step 2, add project instructions. Project instructions tell Claude how to behave across all conversations in this project. Click on Instructions to open the instructions panel. Good project instructions typically include context about what you're working on. This project is for creating marketing content for our B2B software product. So pretty much what you would put in a GitHub description. Process instructions. First, consider a blog structure that will entice this audience, then write the draft. Tone and style preferences. Use a professional but conversational tone. Avoid jargon when possible. Specific requirements. Always include a call to action at the end of marketing copy. Once you've written your instructions, click Save Instructions. These will apply to every chat in this project and work alongside any user preferences and styles you've set. Step 3, build your knowledge base. Your project's knowledge base is where you upload documents that Claude should reference. You'll find the files menu on the right side of your project's main page. Right there. Click the plus button to add context. You can upload various types, including PDF, docx, CSV, text, HTML, and more. You can also connect to Google Drive to link documents directly. What to upload? Reference documents, brand guidelines, style guides, templates, background materials, research reports, meeting notes, requirement docs, examples of work you want Claude to emulate, technical documentation or specifications. Also, the research that you do. So you know how I talked about you can do like research tasks? Well, it will usually spit out this really long research document, which has all kinds of cited sources and everything, by the way. You can take that, you can download it, and then you can also stick it into your project and then reference that for later too. So pretty cool. Pro tip, name your files descriptively. Claude uses file names to understand and retrieve the right information. Yes, good call out. So Q4 2024 brand guidelines.pdf is more helpful than document1.pdf. Yes. How projects handle large knowledge bases. You might wonder what happens when you upload a lot of content. Projects automatically scale to handle large amounts through a feature called Retrieval Augmented Generation. When your project knowledge approaches the context window limit, Claude seamlessly enables RAG mode instead of loading all project content into memory at once. Claude intelligently searches and retrieves only the most relevant information needed to answer your questions. This expands your project's capability by up to 10 times while maintaining response quality. You'll see a visual indicator when your project is RAG enabled, but the experience should feel the same. You can still upload documents, chat with Claude, and get context-aware responses. So RAG. Retrieval augmented generation is something, it's just like a core fundamental piece of being able to talk to AI. What retrieval augmented generation really is just like, okay, I want to stick a piece of information from this file or a summary from this file into the context before I respond. So again, playing with context windows, but essentially grabbing some piece of context, sticking it directly into the context for Claude to read, and then responding with that very specific piece of information so that it can have a more honed and accurate response for you. So now you have to think about it like this. It's either going to take a whole like paragraph or like whatever chunking size they give it. It's going to take a whole entire slice of that document, or it's going to summarize that document, and then it's going to inject that summary or that slice into your conversation. You won't see it, but Claude will, and it will respond with that information. And if you do that, what will happen is it may miss some details. So you have to be very careful when you have this RAG mode enabled, because what it's going to do is it's not going to have the full context of all these documents. So if there's a specific word, sentence, or piece of information that's there, it may not be able to accurately retrieve it. Now, it does it in a very smart way. It's able to look up and like try to find the information that's relevant based off of what you're asking, what's inside of the document, and all this other stuff. So it tries to do its best at doing this, but just keep in mind that it's not going to be perfect, and it's not going to get everything the first time every time. Working within your project. Once your project is set up, you can start chatting with Claude. Each conversation within the project automatically has access to your knowledge base and follows your project instructions. Collaboration features. For users on Claude for Work, Team, and Enterprise plans, projects become even more powerful through collaboration features. Permission levels. When sharing a project, you can choose from 3 permission levels. Can view. Members can see project contents, access knowledge, and chat, but can't make changes. Think of this as read-only access with discussion rights. Can edit. Members have full collaboration power. They can modify instructions, update knowledge, manage other members, and actively contribute to the project. Owner. Project creators control everything, including who sees the project. They can share with specific people or make projects visible to the entire organization. Sharing your project. To share a project, open the project you want to share. Click the Share Project button to the right of the project name. Let's see if we got one of those. Claude Code course. Let's see. Oh, because I'm not like the one for work probably. So it probably doesn't have it. Add individual members using their name or email, or copy and paste a list of email addresses for bulk sharing in this case. The project will show up in their Shared With You section, or share with everyone at your organization. To make your project discoverable within the Team tab. Team members will receive email notifications when you share a project with the team, and they can find shared projects in their Shared With Me tab. So yeah, I don't have access to that. I'm just an individual that has the max subscription, so yeah. Example projects to inspire you. Not sure where to start? Here are some common project types across different functions. Q4 product launch. Upload your project specs, competitive analysis, and messaging brainstorm notes. Claude will help this context top of mind for any inquiry or document draft. Research support. Centralize your competitive review, use research data, and customer feedback. Claude can help you synthesize sources, draft reports, and maintain consistency across recommendations. Client Account Hub. Keep your client's brand guidelines, past deliverables, and communication history in one place. Set instructions so Claude matches their tone and references their specific context when creating proposals or reports. Event planning workspace. upload venue contracts, speaker bios, and attendee data. Claude can help generate run of show documents, attendee communication, and post-event reports that stay consistent with your team's theme, with your event's theme. Job description generator. Gather past job descriptions, team charters, and internal headcount request docs. Work with Claude to draft job descriptions that reflect your team's actual work and culture. So yeah, none of these are probably applicable to you. What I will tell you to do, you really want to try out Claude? Gather the commits at work. Go through your commit history at work. You can have Claude Code do this for you, or you can figure out the git command. I don't know it at the top of my head, but you're going to essentially search by author, and you're going to get all your commits. You're going to take that document, or you're going to have all those commits written to a document, text file, whatever. Then you're going to put it into a project. Then you're going to take what your manager says about you during your quarterly evaluations or your annual evaluation. You're going to throw that in there. And then you're also going to throw your resume in there. And then what you're going to do is you're going to tell it, hey, what are some things that I've accomplished at this job that I can throw on my resume so that it like stands out, you know? Because a lot of the time what you end up doing, especially while you're still hired, is you forget how much of an impact you're actually making, and you don't track all this information. Do these things, and this will be your first step to tracking that information, and then you'll be able to like reference this and grow your resume as you continue to go. Because once you do it once, again, you have those documents, you throw whatever the output was into another document, and you say, hey, reference that. I want that type of thing. There you go. Something actually useful. Best practices for projects. To get the most out of projects, start focused, then expand. Begin with a specific use case rather than trying to create one project for everything. You can always add more contents as you go. Keep your knowledge base current. Outdated documents can lead to outdated responses. Review and update your project knowledge periodically. Write clear instructions. Be specific about what you want. Vague instructions lead to inconsistent results. Group related documents. This helps Claude draw connections between different sources and provide more comprehensive responses. Reference documents by name. When asking questions, you can mention specific documents to help Claude focus its search. Based on our Q3 report, what are the top customer concerns? This is helpful because, and you'll learn this in Claude Code too when we do it, but this is helpful because if you can have Claude know specifically what you want it to look at, it saves it a lot of time, context, and tokens by not having to do the search and imply and try to come up with the reason why it should look at specific documents and stuff like that. So referring to specific documents, and like on Claude Code, you have like this @ command that lets you, select the specific documents. Super valuable. Highly recommend. Lesson reflection. Before moving on, consider what ongoing work could benefit from having a dedicated project with persistent context. What ongoing work could benefit from having a dedicated project with persistent? Yeah, I would probably do this like, honestly, like if you were going to use Claude Code for like something with work, and you're going to use projects, maybe a big feature. We're working on a big feature at work. That might be a good use, but like, again, I don't really use projects, so I don't know. What documents do you expect you'll be re-uploading and re-explaining to Claude on a regular basis? If you're on a team, are there projects that would benefit from shared knowledge and instructions? All right, what's next? In the next lesson, we'll learn how to create mini apps with artifacts, actual outputs that Claude builds and you can share right away. For more information on getting started with projects, visit the Anthropic Help Center. All right. Damn. Another 20? I thought this was going to be... I don't know if I can finish this tonight. It's already late. Learning objectives. Oh, so what is this? So creating with artifacts. This I'm not too familiar with, actually. Or at least I don't think I am. Let's see. Learning objectives. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to explain what artifacts are and what Claude creates, when Claude creates them, share artifacts with colleagues and publish them publicly, troubleshoot common artifact issues. What are artifacts? Artifacts are standalone interactive outputs that Claude creates in a dedicated window alongside your conversation. Instead of getting a long block of code or text buried in the chat, you see content rendered and ready to use. Whether that's a working website, an interactive chart, or a document you can immediately download, Claude automatically creates an artifact when content meets certain criteria. It's significant and self-contained, typically over 15 lines. It's something you're likely to want to edit, iterate on, or reuse. It represents complex content that stands on its own without needing the surrounding conversation. It's content you'll want to reference or use later. So I think that I have seen this in action. I think it used to be called Canvas. That might have been like a different provider, but essentially what it does is it just shows you what it built. A lot of the time you'll notice that Claude ends up building scripts, and it seems like what they're doing is they probably have like a virtual machine under the hood where it's able to like run some of this stuff and actually give you an output that's like you can actually render. I've seen it build like websites, like you can have inline websites in here as well. Not my favorite thing. Really cool for like if you're not doing code related stuff, but most of my stuff is code related. So common artifact types. Claude can create different types of artifacts, each suited to different needs. Documents like Markdown, plain text, great for anything text heavy that you'll want to export or continue editing, like meeting notes, reports, project plans, blog posts, and other written content. That's the other thing. Yeah, you definitely, when you start using AI, you're gonna wanna Markdown viewer very soon. Either that or you're gonna get very comfortable reading Markdown. Code snippets. Working code in any programming language. Python, JavaScript, C++, and more. Swift. You can view the code, copy it, or download it to use in your own projects. HTML pages, complete web pages with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript in a single file, perfect for landing pages, forms, interactive demos, or quick prototypes. SVG images, scalable vector graphics for logos, icons, illustrations, and other visual elements. These render directly in the artifact window so you can see exactly what you're getting. I don't know about the SVG thing. Definitely capable of, but it's really interesting because what it does, it usually builds a Python script that renders it out, and it's just an interesting way of doing it. I mean, I guess it has to be done, but yeah. Mermaid diagrams, flow charts, sequence diagrams, NAT charts, org charts, and more. Describe the relationship you want to visualize, and Claude will create a diagram you can refine. Claude was probably the reason why I found out about mermaid diagrams. They work directly in GitHub. Very awesome. Very awesome. React components, interactive UI elements with real functionality, calculators, dashboards, games, data visualizations. These aren't just mockups, they include actual logic and respond to user input. Creating your first artifact. Creating an artifact is as simple as having a conversation. Just describe what you want, and Claude will determine whether to present it as an artifact. For example, you might say, create a flowchart showing our customer onboarding process. Build an interactive dashboard that lets me input monthly expenses and see a breakdown. Design a landing page for a productivity app with a hero section and feature list. Write a project brief template I can reuse for new initiatives. If Claude doesn't automatically create an artifact when you expect one, you can explicitly ask, create this as an artifact, or show me this in an artifact. When Claude generates an artifact, it appears in a dedicated window to the right of your conversation. From here, you can view different formats, toggle between a preview, how it looks, and the underlying code. Copy content, click the copy icon to grab the content for use elsewhere. Download files, save the artifact as a file to your computer. View code, see exactly what Claude generated under the hood. So as an iOS developer and mobile developer in general, like you're not going to really be able to use this a whole lot. You might be able to use it with React Native. Haven't really tried that yet. I wouldn't really expect it to work. It's a little bit more complex than that, than what I would expect their artifacts to be able to generate. But yeah, if you wanted to throw together a landing page, especially like if you wanted to have like a app landing page, perfect for that. Sharing and publishing artifacts. Once you've created something useful, you have several options for sharing it. Copy or download for personal use or sharing via other channels. Use copy or download buttons in the lower right corner of the artifact window. Share within your organization. Claude for work. Team and enterprise users can share artifacts internally with colleagues. The shared artifact stays within your organization and requires team authentication to access. Publish publicly. For free, pro, and max users, you can publish artifacts to make them accessible to anyone with the link. When you publish, only the selected version becomes public. Your chat remains private. Anyone can view and interact with the artifact without a Claude account. That's pretty cool. Others can remix your artifact, opening it in their own Claude conversation to modify it and build upon it. That's also pretty cool. To publish, click the share or publish button in the upper right corner of the artifact. You can unpublish at any time by returning to that artifact and removing public access. I wonder if they have like a section for artifacts, like in an easy way. Yeah, right there. Bam, artifacts. Oh yeah, I got a couple. Oh no. No, I don't. Your artifacts, let me see. Yeah, see, I got a couple. Liquid glass. Yep. Been doing this for a while. Okay. Tips for getting the most from artifacts. Be specific about what you want. Build a budget tracker is good, but build a monthly budget tracker where I can input expenses by category, see a pie chart breakdown, and get a warning when I'm over budget is better. Describe the end user. Telling Claude who will use the artifact helps it make appropriate design choices. This flowchart is for new employees, leads to different results than this flowchart is for the engineering team. Iterate incrementally. Add one feature or make one change at a time. This makes it easier to identify what's working and catch issues early. Request artifacts when needed. If you ask for something substantial and Claude responds in the chat instead of creating an artifact, just say, please create that as an artifact. So I've seen that happen. I've seen this happen before. You have to be careful because like when it jumps through a bunch of different, like, I don't know if it's like the block quotes or whatever, but sometimes it gets out of sync and it will start like putting some of the artifact information into your chat. Iterate incrementally. This is kind of true. I would recommend iterating incrementally if there's like a bug, but it's pretty good if you just give it a checklist of items to go through. Like if you just give it like your typical markdown checklist and say like this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, it's pretty good at figuring that out. So I don't know. I mean, yeah, like you shouldn't be moving a million different things when you're troubleshooting or debugging. But if you have like several different issues, you could just point Claude at it and it'll figure it out most of the time. Before moving on, consider what recurring work could benefit from having an interactive artifact you can reuse? Are there processes in your work that would be clearer as a flowchart or diagram? What prototype or tool would help you test an idea quickly? Yeah, so I don't know. I guess I would have to try this out. It's interesting because I haven't used artifacts like this, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'd use artifacts like this. For this type of thing, I'd probably just have my bot do it. If it's that simple to where it can be an artifact, I'm probably just gonna figure it out that way. But yeah, to each their own. What's next? In the next lesson, you'll learn how to connect Claude to your existing tools and data sources, extending Claude's capabilities beyond conversation into your actual workflows. All right. All right, learning objectives. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to explain what skills are and how Claude uses them. Identify Anthropic's built-in skills for document creation. Enable and manage skills in your settings. What are skills? Skills are folders of instructions, scripts, and resources that Claude loads dynamically to improve performance on specialized tasks. Think of them as expertise packages. They teach Claude how to complete specific tasks in a repeatable way. You know that spot, like that scene in The Matrix where it's like, I know Kung Fu. That's kind of what skills are like. Neo got a skill. That's what skills are. You've already seen skills at work if you've used Claude to create Excel spreadsheets, PowerPoint presentations, Word documents, or PDFs. Those file creation capabilities are powered by skills running behind the scenes. Interesting. I need to create an Xcode Gen skill because AI is not good at generating Xcode projects. Types of skills. There are two categories of skills you'll encounter. Anthropic skills are created and maintained by Anthropic. These include enhanced document creation capabilities for Excel, Word, PowerPoint, and PDF files. Anthropic skills are available to all paid users and Claude invokes them automatically when relevant. You don't need to do anything special to use them. Custom skills are ones you and your organization create for specialized workflows and domain-specific tasks. For example, you might create a skill that applies your company's brand guidelines to presentations, structures meeting notes in a specific format, or executes your organization's data analysis workflows. Enabling skills. Skills are currently available as a feature preview for users on Pro, Max, Team, and Enterprise plans. Got one of those. To use skills, you'll need to have code execution and file creation enabled. Since skills require Claude's secure sandbox computing environment to function, here's how to enable skills. Navigate to Settings, Capabilities. Let me see. Go to Settings, Capabilities, Search and Reference Chat. See, I don't like that. I actually don't like that. Generate memories from chat history. Tool access. Let me see. Does it say skills? Okay, skills. Okay, skills have moved to customize. Head to the new customize page to manage your skill. Okay. So how do you get to the customize page? Oh, go to this thing, then go to skills. Oh, interesting. This is actually really interesting. I didn't know that they had like a skill creator. I am going to spend some time in here. Okay. Toggle individual skills on or off as needed. Docs, co-authoring, so you could turn it on right here. Ah, see? And they have a skill creator already built in. Love that. Look at this. This is interesting. Slack GIF creator. Oh, I'm going to play with these. Okay. Pretty cool. Okay, so recommendation. Not only use the skill creator skill, obviously, but have it reference one of the like-minded skills that you've seen, and have it use that as the template. You see a skill on like a open source repo, bam, grab that, baby. Okay. For enterprise plans, organization owners must first enable both code execution and skills in admin settings before individual members can access them. For team plans, this feature preview is enabled by default at the organization level. Once enabled, you'll see available skills listed in your settings, including Anthropic's built-in skills and any custom skills you've uploaded. Using skills in practice. The beauty of skills is that you typically don't need to think about them. Claude handles skill selection automatically based on your request. Here are some examples of prompts that would invoke skills. Create an Excel spreadsheet tracking monthly expenses with formulas for totals. Turn this meeting notes document into a PowerPoint presentation. Generate a PDF report summarizing this data. Build a financial model in Excel with scenario analysis. So kind of like Siri Intense, it looks for these key patterns, and it will just do a thing. When Claude uses a skill, you'll see it mentioned in Claude's chain of thought as it works. The output will be a downloadable file you can save to your computer or directly to Google Drive. Calendar, huh? I'm not reading that. I'm a slow reader. Let's go with narrative 1. Okay. What am I supposed to be seeing here? Oh. Nice. Yeah. If you're in one of those fields, oh my God. Things are so easy for you right now. So that's how it kind of looks. So those are like you'll learn the different icons. Be careful with some of this stuff. Like, remember that you don't you can have like an initial legal document or a rough draft, or if you needed just something like an NDA or something like that, you can have it generate one of those. But again, be careful with what you're trusting, because it's not going to be perfect. Okay, you should probably still have a professional handle some of these things. The same capability means that Claude can work with your actual files within a contained environment to make updates on your behalf. Upload slides, spreadsheets, contracts, or any of those. And watch as Claude creates slides, performs analyses, and adds suggested edits. When Claude is done, you can download these files or open them in Drive. Note, to use these capabilities, you'll need to give Claude access to external data sources. Simply toggle allow limited network access on when prompted. Okay, so something like that. Security considerations. Because skills can include executable code, it's important to use them thoughtfully. Only install custom skills from trusted sources. Anthropic's built-in skills are tested and maintained by Anthropic. Custom skills you upload are private to your individual account. If you're installing a custom skill from an external source, review its contents use before use to understand what it does. Yes, so skill injection is one of those things where they might put something inside of a skill if you get it from a third-party resource, and it can have your bot go off and do something crazy, leak information. Opus is really good at catching these types of things. I don't know if Sonnet is good at catching these things. The smaller models generally not that great at catching these things, so be very careful with external skills that you get. There are libraries to help you like scan the skill to make sure that it's legit and there's nothing weird or funky going on with it. You can try those out, but yes, be very careful with the skills that you choose to add. Creating custom skills. While Anthropic's built-in skills cover common document creation tasks, the real power of skills comes from creating your own. Custom skills let you teach Claude your specific workflows, brand guidelines, and ways of working, so Claude can apply that knowledge automatically whenever it's relevant. The easiest way to create a custom skill is through conversation with Claude itself. You don't need to write code or manually create files. Claude handles the technical structure for you. Here's how to create a skill through conversation. Start a new chat and tell Claude what you want to create. For example, I want to create a skill for writing quarterly business reviews, or I need a skill that applies our brand guidelines to presentations. Answer Claude's questions. Claude will interview you about your workflow, asking things like, what should this skill do? What makes good output for this type of work? Can you give examples of when you'd use this skill? Upload reference materials. If you have them, I've already told you that. If you have them, templates, style guides, brand assets, or examples of work you're proud of all help Claude understand exactly what you're looking for. Download your skill. When finished, Claude generates a downloadable zip file containing your properly structured skill. Upload to your settings, go to Settings, Capabilities, scroll to Skills section, click Upload Skill, and select your zip file. Yes, I just wanted to, let's see, Claude will interview. So this one, number 2, Claude will interview you. Understand that interviewing you, having Claude interview you is a skill on your tool belt that you need to start asking for. Having Claude interview you to pull context out of you that is relevant is super important. Now, like something like Claude Code, it's going to ask you those questions anyways. I'm sure that Claude AI will probably ask you those questions along the ways too. It's gotten better about using the human as a resource, but if you know that you're going to give a short answer and you're just kind of lazy, I'm lazy by the way. If you're going to give a short answer, you can just have Claude interview you and ask you questions so that you can respond appropriately. Super useful, like if you're applying for jobs. So for example, you are looking for a new job, you copy the entire application, like you give Claude, like you could put in a project, for example. You give Claude the application information, and then you give it the questions that it asks you to fill out in the form, right? So don't have Claude just fill out whatever, because then it's just going to be that generic whatever, and it's just going to give you answers that are going to sound like an AI wrote it, obviously. So what you could do is you could just start having it interview you and ask you more specific questions about those little questions that it's asking, and it can do it from the context of, oh, this is an interview, or this is a question that's being asked on an application. I need to, ask it in a specific way because it understands the context, it understands what's being asked. If you give it your resume, it has that. And yeah, essentially you could have it interview you, then, generate your answers in a well formatted way, and then you just stick those in. So take full advantage of having Claude interview you. Your custom skill will appear in your skills list alongside Anthropic's built-in skills. From that point forward, Claude will automatically invoke it whenever you work on relevant tasks, no manual triggering needed. Skills versus projects. You might be wondering, if both skills and projects can be used to give more context to Claude, when should I use each? Think of it this way. Projects store knowledge. Skills perform tasks. Projects are knowledge hubs. They hold the reference materials Claude needs to understand your work. Project specs, meeting notes, research documents. When you upload files to a project, Claude draws on that information across every conversation within that project. Skills are procedural machines. They encode how Claude should execute a task, the specific steps, order of operations, and methodology you want followed every time. Skills shine when you have repeatable workflows you want Claude to run consistently. The two features complement each other. A skill can reference knowledge stored in a project. Your customer call prep skill might pull from customer profiles, upload it to a project's knowledge base. The project provides the what information, the skill provides the how process. So projects versus skills. The purpose: projects store knowledge Claude references. Skills define processes Claude executes. Projects are best for long-term context, reference materials, team collaboration. Skills are best for repeatable workflows, multi-step tasks, consistent methodology. An example of projects: Customer Hub, Research Buddy, Feedback Generator. An example of skills would be brand guidelines, blog drafting, PDF creation. Project persistence, knowledge available across all chats in the project. Skills persistence, instructions applied when the skill is invoked. Lesson reflection. Before moving on, consider: what types of documents do you create regularly that could benefit from Claude's built-in skills? Are there repetitive workflows in your work that might be good candidates for custom skills? How might skills change the way you think about document creation and data analysis? Like I said, I'm probably going to do that Xcode Gen one. What's next? In the next set of lessons, you'll start to expand Claude's reach with connectors. These powerful tools make information gathering seamless and can give Claude the ability to perform actions right inside the tools where your work is happening. For more information on skills, including how to create your own custom skills, visit the Anthropic Help Center. All right. Damn, can we make it through this? This is what, 20? Another 15? Dang. 15? Dang. All right, let's keep going. All right, connecting your tools. Learning objectives. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to explain what connectors are and why they matter for your work with Claude, navigate the connectors directory and set up your first connection, use connected tools effectively in your conversations with Claude. All right, let's watch that video.
Connect the tools you already use to unlock a smarter, more capable productivity partner with Claude. Claude can help you write, comment, create, code, draft, design, and so much more. However, it becomes an even more effective partner when you provide Claude more access, and connectors make this possible. Connect supported apps to give Claude access to your knowledge and files, including permission to perform actions in connected sources. Connectors make Claude more knowledgeable, which means more useful responses for you. For example, with file handling capabilities, Claude can read your uploaded documents, analyze spreadsheet data, create presentations, and generate reports, all while keeping track of your broader goals and maintaining full context throughout the process. To start using connectors, navigate to the lower left portion of your Claude chat window and click the Search and Tools button. Once the submenu is open,
This is actually one that I kind of need because I haven't done anything with connectors.
you may have some existing connectors, a button to add connections, and a button to manage connectors. Let's set up a new connector. Click the Add Connectors button. You'll see a directory of connectors that work with both web tools and your local files on desktop. The directory includes connectors for productivity, communication, development, business, automation, and desktop extensions. Go ahead and choose a connector to get started. Follow the steps for your specific connector to set up. This process safely and automatically handles the configuration via the Model Context Protocol, or MCP. Once configured, you're free to start using context and performing actions in your connected tool. The simplest way to ensure your connection is working is just to ask Claude if it has access to a specific tool. When you click on any connection, you'll see exactly what permissions it has. You can easily turn these on or off, or browse through them to get ideas for what you might want to work on together. Later, if you need to add or remove connectors, or look at a detailed list of available connectors, you can navigate to the Manage Connectors button. When connectors and web search are toggled on, Claude will consider whether or not it should use your sources to answer your question. You can always add to your prompt explicit instructions to use one of the other. Connectors don't just bring context to Claude, they create a dynamic bridge across all the tools you use to get work done. Let's see connectors in action with a real example. Say it's late Friday afternoon, and you need release notes from your latest sprint. Instead of manually searching through tickets and trying to remember what each feature does, simply ask, pull the completed tickets from this week's production sprint, and create product release notes using our standard communications template. Watch as Claude automatically connects to Linear, identifies your completed sprint tickets, and pulls the real feature descriptions, bug fixes, and improvements. Next, Claude finds your release note template from your files. No need to search through folders or remember where you saved it. Within moments,
Okay, I actually
product
use
release
Notion a
notes that
lot.
include
So I use Notion a lot. This would be awesome.
actual future details, proper formatting, and your company style, not generic descriptions, but the real work your team shipped. These notes are ready to share with stakeholders, complete with accurate technical details and professional formatting. The same approach works across your entire workflow. Meeting notes become project tasks. Project updates become executive summaries. Documentation becomes visual designs. Claude enhances your productivity by integrating seamlessly with your digital tools. Connect your workspace to unlock powerful workflows and automation. Visit claude.ai/directory to browse available connectors and get started.
Okay, so it's just MCP, but you can do it from the web. Okay, I like it. I would probably, I would most likely use this to save research into Notion because those research documents are super valuable. And I don't like not being able to find them. Having them in Notion is a great way to have them. Connectors transform Claude from an assistant into an informed collaborator by giving Claude access to the same tools, data, and context that you use every day. Instead of starting every conversation from scratch, Claude can work directly with your actual information. Connectors allow Claude to read information and perform actions on your behalf. Depending on the connector and permissions you grant, Claude can search your files, retrieve documents, analyze data, create new content, update records, and execute tasks across your connected applications, all from within your conversation. So Zapier, but via conversation. Got it. The Model Context Protocol, MCP, powers connectors. Think of MCP like USB-C for AI. It's an interesting way to put it. A universal standard that allows Claude to connect to many different applications through a single consistent interface. This open standard means developers can build connectors for any tool, and those connectors work seamlessly with Claude. There are two types of connectors, web connectors and desktop extensions. Web connectors link Claude to cloud services like Google Drive, Notion, Slack, and Asana. Desktop extensions run locally on your computer through the Claude Desktop app, giving Claude access to local files and native applications. I thought so. So Claude Desktop is kind of like just a wrapper over Claude Code. Okay, got it. Finding and connecting tools. Anthropic maintains a directory of recommended connectors at claude.ai/directory. The directory is organized into two tabs: web, cloud services and applications, Gmail, Notion, Slack, Asana, Linear, Stripe, and many more; desktop extensions, local tools that run on your computer through the Claude Desktop app. To browse available connectors, you can also click the Search and Tools button in the lower left of the chat window, then select Add Connectors. Setting up a web connector. Here's how to connect a cloud service. Find the connector, navigate to claude.ai/directory, or click Search and Tools. Add connectors in any chat. Click Connect. Select the connector you want to add. Authenticate. You'll be redirected to the service's login page. Sign in with your existing credentials. Grant permissions. Review the specific permissions Claude is requesting, then authorize access. Test the connection. Return to Claude and try a simple request, like, "Can you access my tool name?" Once connected, Claude can search, read, and in some cases take actions within that service, depending on the permissions you've granted. Desktop extensions. Desktop extensions require the Claude Desktop app rather than the web interface. These extensions let Claude interact with local applications, your file system, and native features on macOS or Windows. Some desktop extensions include local file access for reading and organizing documents, browser control for automated web tasks, native application integration like Figma for design work. To install a desktop extension, download and install Claude Desktop app, open the app and navigate to Settings, Extensions, browse available extensions and click Install. Follow any additional setup steps specific to that extension. Using connectors in your work. Once you've connected your tools, Claude considers them when responding to your requests. Oh, I didn't know that I could do that. Search my emails? Well, that would be kind of nice. Okay. See, this is why it's important to take even the beginner course, because you will almost always learn something new. Here are some practical ways to use connected tools. Project management, Asana, Linear, Jira. What are my highest priority tasks due this week? Create a new task for reviewing the Q4 budget proposal. Summarize the status of our product launch project. Communication, Slack, Gmail. Find the email thread where we discussed the vendor contract. Draft a reply to the latest message in the marketing channel. What did the team decide about the timeline in yesterday's discussion? Documentation. Notion, Google Drive, Confluence. Search our documentation for our brand voice guidelines. Summarize the meeting notes from last week's product review. What does our style guide say about using contractions? Business tools. Stripe, PayPal, Salesforce. Show me revenue trends for the past quarter. What's the status of the Acme Corp opportunity? List recent transactions over $1,000. Okay, so like if anything, like if you know about Siri intents and all the things that it can do, you can just do the same thing for any of those services. Make your own Siri intents for them. Security and permissions. When you connect Claude to external services, you're granting it access to read and sometimes modify data within those services. Here are some important considerations. Scoped access. Permissions are specific to what the connector needs, and you can toggle individual permissions on and off within each application's menu. Claude sees what you see. Claude can only access data you have access to. Connecting your work email doesn't give Claude access to your CEO's inbox, only your own. Revocable at any time. You can disconnect a service through Claude's settings or through the third-party service's security setting. Lesson reflection. Before moving on, consider which of your daily work tools would be most valuable to connect to Claude. What tasks currently require you to copy and paste information that connectors could handle automatically? Are there workflows where combining data from multiple connected sources would save you significant time? What's next? In the next lesson, you'll learn about Enterprise Search, a specialized feature for Claude for Work users that connects Claude to your organization's knowledge sources with custom prompts optimized for your company's context. For more information on connectors and the Model Context Protocol, visit the Anthropic Help Center or explore the connector directory at claudeai/directory. Okay, Enterprise Search. All right, learning objectives. By the end of this lesson, let's see if we can close that. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to explain what Enterprise Search is and what the types of questions Enterprise Search can answer. Understand how the setup process works for both admins and users. Recognize how security and permissions protect organizational data. Okay, so this is really interesting because I actually do not use an enterprise account. Again, privacy stuff I just feel weird about. But I would like to know what enterprise actually has access to and what they can and can't see. So, good to know. Enterprise Search adds a dedicated Ask Your Org Name option to your sidebar. This is dedicated specifically for finding and synthesizing knowledge buried across your company's tools and data sources. Unlike regular chats with connectors enabled, Enterprise Search is specifically designed for information gathering using custom instructions configured by the Anthropic team. What can you ask? Enterprise Search is particularly valuable for questions that span multiple sources or require synthesizing information from across the organization. Here are some common use cases. Getting up to speed. What happened yesterday while I was out? Summarize key updates across the business from the last week. What are the current blockers on the platform project? Policy and process questions. What is our company's remote work policy? How do I submit an expense report? What's the process for requesting time off? Research and analysis. What are the main reasons customers cite for choosing competitors? Summarize discussions about the Q4 product roadmap. Find information about our customer onboarding process. Onboarding new team members. How does our authentication system work? Who should I talk to about learning the billing system? What tools does the engineering team use for development? These are pretty good, actually. Performance and project tackling. Find discussions and documents related to the marketing campaign. What were the key decisions from last week's leadership meetings? Summarize team contributions to the infrastructure initiative. When you ask a question, Claude searches across all your connected tools, such as SharePoint documents, Slack conversations, Gmail threads, and Google Drive files. and synthesizes information into a unified response. Plus, it always cites its sources so you can get the full context. Setting up enterprise search. Enterprise search requires a two-step setup process. First, an admin configures it for the organization. Then, individual users authenticate with their personal accounts. For admins, owners, the enterprise search project is enabled by default for all team and enterprise organizations, but an owner needs to complete the initial setup before team members can use it. Click Ask Your Org in the left sidebar. Click Set Up Your Org to continue or disable to turn the feature off. Connect your organization's tools. You'll be required to choose a connector for documents like Google Drive or SharePoint and chat like Slack or Microsoft Teams. Email is recommended but optional. Click plus Add More to set up any additional tools your team needs. Customize the project name. Whatever you enter will appear as Ask and Name in everyone's sidebar. Add a description, then click Finish Setup. Once setup is complete, the project becomes available to all members of your organization. For users, after an admin has set up enterprise search, you'll see the Ask Org Name project shared in your sidebar. Here's how to get started. Click on the project in your sidebar. Follow the guided onboarding flow to connect to the recommended services. Authenticate with each service you want to search: Slack, Google, Microsoft 365, etc. Start asking Claude questions about your organization's knowledge. Again, ask questions. It's the best way to learn how to use these things. The more connectors you enable, the more comprehensive your search results will be. You can always add more connectors later by clicking Connect in the project's instructions section. That's a lot of data. Is this safe? In short, yes. Enterprise search only shows what you already have permission to access in the original connected tool. Plus, your conversations remain private, and your connected data isn't indexed or stored separately. Lesson reflection. Before moving on, consider what questions do you frequently ask colleagues that could be answered by searching your organization's documents and communications. Are there onboarding or training scenarios where enterprise search could help new team members get up to speed faster? Which data sources would be most valuable to connect for your specific role? So I assume that this has connections to GitHub probably. I think one of the things that I could probably use at work is like, we have this one repo which kind of serves as like the knowledge base for our team, the mobile team, and we can probably just plug into that and it'd be super useful. What's next? In the next lesson, you'll learn about research mode, Claude's capability for deep, multi-step investigations that go beyond quick lookups to comprehensive analyses. For more information on enterprise search, visit Anthropic Help Center. All right, research mode for deep dives. Learning objectives. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to explain what research does, systematic, multi-source investigation, identify when to use research for comprehensive information gathering, understand how research works with extended thinking to deliver thorough reports, write effective research prompts for complex investigations. Also, if you really want to, you're not going to, if you want real research, what you'll do instead of writing your own research prompt is you'll talk to Claude about the prompt that you should be writing, have Claude create the prompt, and then paste that prompt into the research so that it can get all the information out of it. Again, interviews, these types of things, they all funnel back into each other. Use these skills wisely.
Research is an advanced feature in Claude that transforms how you find and analyze information. It delivers comprehensive reports with in-depth analysis from multiple sources. Let's see research in action, planning a team offsite. Like any other chat in Claude, it starts with a prompt. Here, we're outlining the sections we want in a final report, including preferred source types and more details. We are asking Claude to research and compare venue options that can accommodate a company offsite, including meetings, meals, and team activities. We're also adding relevant details to ensure that Claude has enough context to provide a comprehensive report. Given that research can take anywhere from 5 to 45 minutes, it's worthwhile to take
take a
time
while.
to craft a detailed prompt.
The cool
If you
thing is
don't,
that-
Claude will ask follow-up.
It takes a while. So the cool thing is that on your phone, I believe it sends you a notification when it's done.
Questions to help you refine the task before it begins. To enable research, locate the button on the bottom left of Claude's chat window and hit Submit. Once enabled, Claude will gather information from multiple sources and compile that information into a comprehensive report. As your research question runs in the background, you can focus on other work. And when you return, you'll find thorough, well-researched, and actionable results. Research in Claude operates independently, conducting multiple searches that build on each other while deciding what to investigate next. It examines different angles of your question and works through related questions at the same time. This approach delivers thorough answers, complete with easy-to-check citations so that you can verify Claude's findings. Research is ideal for thorough reports like market analysis, technical documentation synthesis, and product development road mapping, any project that typically requires hours of gathering and connecting information across sources. When using research, the extended thinking feature is automatically enabled. This advanced option supports advanced reasoning by breaking complex requests into more manageable pieces and allowing Claude to explore a problem from multiple angles. Most reports are completed in 5 to 15 minutes, although more complex investigations may take up to 45 minutes, work that would typically require hours of manual research. Research and extended thinking work best when used together. This powerful combination lets Claude both plan its approach thoughtfully and gather comprehensive information. When extended thinking is enabled, you'll see 3 key elements. First, a thinking indicator with a timer showing that Claude is actively working. Second, an expandable thinking section above Claude's response. And third, you can click that section to view Claude's thought process and problem-solving approach, giving you insight into how it arrived at its conclusions.
Yeah, strong feature, highly recommend. Key takeaways: research transforms how Claude finds and analyzes information. Instead of a single search, Claude operates agentically. Oh no, I hope we have enough battery on the microphone to do stuff. Will we? I don't know. Yes, okay, so it does charge, cool. Okay, instead of a single search, Claude operates agentically, conducting multiple searches that build on each other while determining exactly what to investigate next. It explores different angles of your question automatically and works through open questions systematically. Research delivers comprehensive answers in minutes. Most reports complete in 5 to 15 minutes, though more complex investigations may take up to 45 minutes. Work that would typically require hours of manual research. Extended thinking is automatically enabled with research. This powerful combination lets Claude both plan its approach thoughtfully and gather comprehensive information, breaking complex requests into manageable pieces. Citations make verification easy. Excuse me. Research delivers thorough answers complete with easy-to-check citations, so you can trust Claude's findings and quickly verify sources yourself. It's been doing this for a while. It's actually really good at it. What is research? Research is an advanced feature that transforms Claude from a conversational assistant into a systematic investigator. When you enable research, Claude doesn't just answer your question, it explores it from multiple angles, synthesizing information from across the web and your connected integrations. Think of it as having a skilled research assistant who can spend hours gathering information, cross-referencing sources, and compiling a comprehensive report, except it happens in minutes instead of hours. Research is particularly valuable when you need to you need more than a quick answer. It's designed for situations where a thorough understanding requires pulling together information from multiple sources, comparing different perspectives, and synthesizing findings into actionable insights. When to use research. Understanding when to use research versus other Claude capabilities helps you get the best results for your specific needs. Use research when you need comprehensive reports that synthesize information from multiple sources. It's like, man, they got lazy in this spot. They like repeated a bunch of stuff. In-depth analysis across the web and your connected integrations like Google Workspace, thorough investigations that would typically require hours of manual work, comparative analyses, comparative analysis such as evaluating competitors or vendor options. I've done that. Reports with citations you can verify. Consider web search instead when you need a quick specific fact like today's stock price or a company's address. The answer requires only one or two sources. Speed matters more than comprehensiveness. Consider extended thinking instead when you need deep reasoning on a complex problem that doesn't require external information. You're working on mathematical problems, code debugging, or logical analysis. The answer comes from reasoning through a problem rather than gathering information. How research works. When you enable research, you're activating a multi-step process that goes far beyond a simple web search. Step 1. Claude plans its approach. When research is enabled, extended thinking automatically activates. This lets Claude break down your request, identify what information it needs, and plan how to investigate different angles of your question. Step 2. Claude conducts multiple searches. Rather than running a single search, Claude conducts many searches that build on each other. It determines what to investigate next based on what it finds, pursuing promising leads and filling in gaps. Claude synthesizes findings. After gathering information from multiple sources, including the web and any connected integrations like Gmail, Google Calendar, or Google Drive, Claude compiles everything into a comprehensive, well-organized report. Claude provides citations. Every claim in research reports links back to its source, making it easy to verify information and dig deeper when needed. So one thing, just so like if you have context windows in mind right now, which would be a good thing, this would be too much for one Claude agent to do. So what I think it actually does is it spins up agents, like sub-agents. It spins up its own little Claudes, and it has those go out, gather the information, summarize them, and try to get to pull the most important details out of those summaries, and then it compiles all the resources. Not entirely sure if that's 100% accurate, but that's what it seems to be doing. Using research in practice. Here's how to enable and use research. Find the research button on the bottom left of your chat interface. So let me show you where it's at real quick. So if you're in a chat, it's going to be here, right here. So click this thing, then it gives you a little like icon there, and then you can always remove it if you don't want it again. Click to enable. The button turns blue when research is active. Enter your prompt and submit. Claude will work in the background, and you'll see progress indicators as it searches and analyzes. Important. Web search must be enabled for research to function. If you haven't already turned on web search, do so in your search and tools settings. Tips for effective research prompts. Since research can take 5 to 45 minutes depending on complexity, investing time in crafting your prompt pays off. Here are some strategies. Yes, you get one shot to do this. Sometimes it will ask you some follow-up questions, but you really get one shot to really nail this prompt, and before it like goes off and does the research. Don't wait for it to do 45 minutes of research or 20 minutes of research and then think you're going to be able to steer it. No, once it goes out and it does that research, it's done doing research. Like it might pull in one or two more sources, but like it's not going to do the same thing over again usually. So just remember, like when you send this thing off for research, it's going to go, and you don't really want to stop it because it's in the middle of research, and I don't even know if it can. Well, it probably can be stopped, but like, yeah, just get it right the first time, especially on research. Be specific about your goals. Instead of tell me about the EV market, try analyze the electric vehicle battery market, identify key players, technology trends, and supply chain challenges that might affect investment decisions. Specify the sections or structure you want. Claude will organize its findings around the structure you provide. For example, compare venue options for a team offsite, including location and accessibility, meeting space and amenities, catering options, and pricing considerations. Include relevant constraints. Budget ranges, timelines, geographic requirements, and other parameters help Claude focus its research on relevant options. Ask Claude to help refine your prompt. If you're not sure how to frame your research question, you can even ask Claude to help you write a better research prompt before enabling the feature. Working with connected integrations. When you have Google Workspace or other integrations connected, research becomes even more powerful. Claude can pull context from your emails, calendar, and documents alongside web research. For example, you might ask Claude to summarize what's been discussed about Project X across my emails and Slack, then research industry's best practices for similar initiatives. Review my calendar commitments for next week and research each company I'm meeting with. Find all internal, this is so powerful to go into like a meeting with like a bunch of information on your prospect. So powerful. Find all internal documents about our pricing strategy and compare to how competitors are positioning themselves. When using research with integrations, you can steer Claude by saying things like pull relevant context from my Google Drive or include insights from my recent emails on this topic. Lesson reflection. Before moving on, consider what research tasks in your work typically require gathering information from multiple sources. How might combining research with your connected integrations like Google Workspace change your workflow? What's a complex question you've been putting off because it would take too much research time? What's next? In the next section, we're putting it all together. You'll see how everything you've learned comes together through real-world use cases organized by role, and discover additional ways to interact with Claude beyond the web interface. For more information on research, including video tutorials, visit Anthropic Help Center. Or just let me know which ones you want and I'll do them. Claude in action, use cases by role. Learning objectives. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to describe 2 to 3 use cases for Claude AI that you can try right away. Know where to go to find additional use case inspiration. No matter what you do, Claude can help streamline your work. This lesson highlights practical use cases organized by role so you can see how Claude applies your specific work context. Each use case below links to a detailed guide in our use case gallery with step-by-step instructions you can follow. General professional use. These use cases apply across many roles and industries. Generate project status reports. Keep stakeholders informed with clear, consistent updates. Analyze patterns in user feedback. Extract insights from customer comments and survey responses. Package your brand guidelines in a skill. Create a reusable Claude skill that applies your brand standards. So this one right here, analyze patterns in your feedback. Think of App Store reviews. Got an App Store review, something bad, don't know how to respond, need to respond professionally. Bam. Sales. Sales professionals can use Claude to accelerate deal preparation, create compelling materials, and stay on top of competitive intelligence. Build a battle card library. Create competitive intelligence resources that help your team win deals. Prepare for sales deals. Research prospects and organize your talking points before important meetings. I do this so much. Use this. Create sales reports. Turn your pipeline data into clear, actionable reports. Marketing. Marketers can leverage Claude to analyze performance data and efficiently repurpose content across channels. Analyze campaign performance. Extract insights from campaign metrics to inform your strategy. Adapt content across platforms. Efficiently repurpose content for different channels and audiences. Finance. Finance professionals can use Claude to build models, draft documents, and make sense of complex spreadsheets. Build financial models. Create and refine financial projections with Claude's help. Draft investment memos. Structure and write investment analyses more efficiently. Understand and extend an inherited spreadsheet. Decode complex spreadsheets and add new functionality. HR. HR teams can use Claude to create better onboarding experiences and documentation, create new hire onboarding guides, develop comprehensive onboarding materials tailored to different roles. Do not lay me off with this. Do not do that. Don't do that. Legal professionals can use Claude to track complex timelines and manage discovery processes. Track discovery timelines and analyze patterns. Organize case timelines and identify key patterns in legal documents. Research. Researchers can use Claude to plan literature reviews and verify data analysis. Plan your literature review. Organize your approach to reviewing academic sources. Verify statistics from raw data. Double-check calculations and statistical analyses. Explore more. These examples are just the beginning. Visit the use case gallery to browse the full collection and find inspiration for how Claude can help you with your specific work. What's next? In our final module, you'll meet a few more versions of Claude, including Claude Code, Claude in Chrome, Claude in Excel, and Claude in Slack, each tailored to different types of working. Feedback. As you progress through the course, we'd love to hear. Oh, we already know that. All right, other ways to work with Claude. Okay, learning objectives. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to understand when to use additional Claude products, including Claude Code, Claude for Slack, Claude for Excel, and Claude for Chrome. As we mentioned at the start of this course, Claude is an intelligence. Claude.ai is just one way of working with it. Claude is also available in several specialized tools designed to meet you where you already work. This lesson introduces 4 additional ways to work with Claude, each tailored to specific workflows and use cases. I didn't realize that Claude Code had a browser version. It must be like on a VPS or something. So it's probably just running on like a server and then just interacting with it directly from there. Yeah, I didn't know that. Cool though. Claude Code is an agentic coding tool that works where you work, in your terminal, IDE, browser, or even in Slack. I'm actually going to be trying this out in Xcode soon. It understands your code base, executes commands, and handles entire development workflows through natural language. When you use Claude Code, you want to build features by describing what you need in plain English and have Claude write the code, run tests, and create commits. You need to debug issues by pasting error messages and having Claude analyze your code base to identify and fix the problem. You're navigating an unfamiliar code base and want to ask questions about how different parts work together. You want to automate tedious tasks like fixing lint errors, resolving merge conflicts, or writing release notes. You prefer working in your terminal alongside your existing IDE and development tools rather than switching to a separate interface. This is a Slack one. Gotta see if I have this at work. Maybe they might know about it. I wonder if it has connections through the Slack thing. Or connectors. Whatever it's called. Okay, Claude integrates directly with Slack, allowing you to get help in channels and threads or bring Slack context into your Claude conversations. When to use Claude in Slack. You want to draft responses to messages, summarize lengthy threads, or break down complex discussions without leaving Slack. You need to prepare for meetings by having Claude pull together relevant conversations and shared documents from your workspace. You're onboarding a new team member and want help understanding ongoing projects by reviewing channel history. You want to hand off coding tasks directly from a bug report or feature discussion. Just tag @Claude and it can spin up a Claude Code session using the surrounding context. You need to quickly get answers about industry trends, technical concepts, or company information during a conversation. Claude for Excel.
This is Claude for Excel. So you may be familiar with Claude in other contexts. Claude has a mobile app and a desktop application, as well as our website Claude.ai and even Claude Code. But Claude is also available inside the environment that you use the most, inside your Excel workbooks. And I want to show you today what that looks like. So here I've got an HR headcount plan. Let's say you just inherited this headcount planning model from a colleague. It's got multiple tabs, formulas linking everywhere, and you need to get up to speed. But instead of clicking through each sheet trying to piece it together, let's just ask Claude. So the first thing I'm going to do is open Claude from the upper right. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger so we can see it a little bit better. And then I'm going to start asking it questions. So the first question I have here is really just about context. Walk me through this workbook. What's on each tab and how do they connect? And what you'll see Claude doing is starting to explore the workbook. It's not just listing the tabs, it's explaining the data flow. It's reading everything and understanding how everything links together. And you can see here, it's talking about how assumptions is the place where the central inputs come in that affect the model. And then that links into headcount, which feeds into compensation, which ultimately rolls up into a summary tab. So in seconds, you can understand how the whole model works. This is exactly the kind of analysis that you could get from the person who created the model in the first place. But in this case, Claude is really just doing it for you inside your context. Now you can see here, something interesting came up. It's found an error. There's a ref error in the headcount tab. And we can go over here to the headcount tab to take a look at that. So you can see, yep, there's at least one, maybe several ref errors here. The first one is in E15. And so Claude is offering to investigate and fix the references that are cascading throughout this workbook. So let's do that. So we'll tell Claude there's a ref error in cell E15 on the headcount tab. You know, can you diagnose and can you fix this? And what Claude will do is trace the error. It already understands a fair amount of the specific context from its initial analysis. And here it can see the issue, right? It can see what's going on. It understands what the broken problem is. Now it's giving you a choice. It's saying, well, my recommendation would be to replace the formula with 0. And, you know, there's other ways to do this. You could set it to 1 if you are planning to hire someone, or it could be a different value you specify. So in this case, I'm actually just going to say to Claude, use your best judgment. I could give it a specific answer to the question, you know, saying 0, 1, or other. But in this case, I want to see what Claude does. And so Claude is going to analyze and decide, essentially as it recommended, to set the planned hires to 0. So now you can see that on the left, the problem has been fixed. The ref errors have gone away. And in fact, the cascade has already happened through the rest of the sheets, you know, creating the appropriate data. So now let's look at something like a scenario model, which is exactly what this model was designed for. And here's where Claude really shines. So let's say leadership asks, what if attrition runs higher than expected this year? So instead of manually updating cells and hoping you didn't break anything, you just say what you want. So I'll go back to the assumptions tab, take a look at this. I've got 10% as my attrition rate. Let's say instead that I want to update my plan to assume 15% attrition instead of 10%. Show me what changes. And what you'll see here is that Claude will make the edit and then give you an analysis across the other tabs of what actually has changed. This will also be reflected in the model itself, so you can go and look at it on your own. But Claude is going to give you a walkthrough, and it's going to help you understand what actually changed. Now, the headcount projections, compensation costs, all of those things recalculated correctly because the formulas are helping to do that. It's not just individual cells. And some of this is purely built into Excel. Other things are things that Claude is able to pull out for you and also help you recalculate based on those relationships. So now let's try to visualize this data. Let's say that leadership wants a visual breakdown of headcount by department and level. We'll go over to the summary tab because that's probably the most logical place to put it. So now what we really want, let's just say, a pivot table and a chart would be really helpful. So we'll give Claude that direction. And let's see what Claude does. So you can see Claude is planning to create a pivot table from the headcount data, and it's also going to create a bar chart to go with it. And you can see this is the pivot table right here. It managed to produce that pretty quickly. And then it's going to create a stacked bar chart. That sounds like the right basic visual. And you can see down here, yep, that's exactly what I get. I could have given it more specific direction on formatting or on exactly how to produce this. But, that really seems, just about right to me. And so you can see over here, essentially it's giving me the option of continuing to adjust the formatting. But there's no digging through menus. There's no formatting headaches. You just tell Claude what you need and it builds it. All right, one last thing. Let's say that you want to add a new calculation that doesn't exist yet. So if I scroll over a little bit here, you'll see I have base salary as my last item in here. And what I'd really like is something like fully loaded cost. So let's add that. Let's add a column that calculates the fully loaded cost per employee using the rates on the assumptions tab, but in the context, in this case, of the headcount tab. So Claude's going to add this column, and it's going to use a formula that references the assumptions tab, right? It's not just copying the numbers, it's building formulas. These are the things that you would need to ultimately maintain this model yourself. And so you can see here, it's putting in place fully loaded costs. And it's going to, again, calculate this based on the various things that it knows are going on in this worksheet, and then gives you a fully loaded cost for your team. So that's Claude for Excel. Whether you're exploring an unfamiliar model, debugging errors, running scenarios, or building visualizations, Claude's working alongside you. It's helping to analyze the work and actually working within your frameworks rather than giving you something that you have to copy and paste. Claude works alongside you right in your spreadsheet. Thanks.
All right, looks like one of my earbuds died. I was about to die, but it's all good. I think that was the last video. All right, Claude for Excel brings Claude directly into Microsoft Excel through a sidebar, allowing you to analyze, understand, and modify spreadsheets through conversation. When to use Claude for Excel. You're working on a complex multi-tab workbook and want to understand how specific formulas or calculation flows work across sheets. You need to update assumptions or inputs across your model while preserving formula dependencies and relationships. You're debugging spreadsheet errors like ref and value or circular references and want Claude to trace them to their source and suggest fixes. You want to create new spreadsheets or populate existing templates with data while maintaining proper formula structure. You need to quickly build pivot tables or charts to visualize your data. Claude for Chrome.
Claude for Chrome brings the power of Sonnet 4.5, our state-of-the-art model for computer use, directly to your browser. In this example, Claude is helping with a home renovation. It will organize your renovation budget, which is currently spread across a planning doc and several contractor email exchanges. Once prompted, Claude gets to work to collect the right context. In this case, finding all the relevant emails and receipts you've requested. Claude uses what it learns and actively works with your spreadsheet, tracking down the missing numbers and updating your budget in real time. Finally, Claude makes it easy for you to share your plans with your partner by drafting an email for you. But don't worry, you're still in control of the final edits before you send that email. We took many steps to build this product with safety and security at its core. For example, you control what actions Claude can take through granular permissions. We've also implemented protection against prompt injection attacks and added restrictions around what websites Claude can use. And it always asks before taking sensitive actions like making purchases. Bring Claude to your browser today.
Yeah, not my type of thing, but yeah, Claude for Chrome. Claude for Chrome is a browser extension that adds Claude as a sidebar in Google Chrome. It can observe what you're working on and take actions directly within your browser. When to use Claude for Chrome? You want to summarize articles, research papers, or web pages while browsing. You need help drafting email responses or managing your inbox. You're filling out repetitive forms and want to automate the process. You want to test website features or navigate multi-step workflows without manually clicking through each step. You need a browsing assistant that maintains context as you move between tabs and tasks. Important note: Claude for Chrome is currently in research preview. Anthropic recommends using it for low-risk tasks on trusted websites. The extension asks for permission before taking high-risk actions like purchasing or sharing personal data. And certain categories of websites, financial services, adult content, are blocked by default. Availability: Claude for Chrome is available for Claude Max subscribers. Join the waitlist at claude.ai/Chrome. Summary: each of these tools extends Claude's capabilities into the specific environments where you work. Claude.ai, best for general tasks, research, writing, analysis, file creation, where it runs: web, desktop, and mobile apps. Claude Code, software development, code-based navigation, Git workflows, where it runs: terminal, command line, IDE, or your browser. Tool: Claude Code in Slack. Best for team collaboration, meeting prep, quick answers in context, where it runs: Slack workspace. Claude for Excel. Best for spreadsheet analysis, financial modeling, formula debugging, where it runs: Microsoft Excel sidebar. Claude for Chrome, best for web research, email management, browser automation, where it runs: Chrome browser sidebar. What's next? Wrap up with a short recap of this course and a quiz to earn your certificate of completion that you can share on LinkedIn with your team. All right, let's see if I'm smart or not. Just have Claude answer everything for me. Congratulations on completing Claude 101. You've built a solid foundation for working with Claude effectively. Let's recap what you've learned and point you towards resources for continued growth. What you've learned: getting started with Claude. Claude is an AI assistant built to be helpful, harmless, and honest. More than a chatbot, it's a thinking partner for complex work. You can access Claude through web, desktop, and mobile apps with your conversations syncing across devices. Effective prompts set the stage, context, define the task, action, and specify rules, format, and style. Getting better results. Iteration is key. Treat first responses as starting points and refine through conversation. Common challenges like generic responses or wrong tone can be fixed with more specific context. AI Fluency encompasses 4 competencies: delegation, description, discernment, and diligence. Organizing your work. Projects create dedicated workspaces with persistent knowledge, custom instructions, and team collaboration. Artifacts are standalone outputs like documents, code, diagrams, and interactive tools that Claude creates alongside your conversations. Skills are instruction packages that teach Claude specialized workflows, including built-in document creation and custom skills you can create, expanding Claude's reach. Connectors link Claude to your tools, Google Workspace, Slack, Notion, and many more, so it can work with your actual data. Enterprise Search provides a dedicated project for searching across your organization's knowledge sources. Research Mode conducts systematic, multi-source investigations that would take hours to do manually. Putting it all together, Claude applies across roles: sales, marketing, finance, HR, legal, research, and beyond. Beyond Claude AI, you can work with Claude through Claude Code, Slack, Excel, and Chrome. Additional resources. Learn more about AI and Claude, AI Fluency courses, free courses on effective AI collaboration, use case gallery, step-by-step guides and prompts for powerful workflows, Anthropic Help Center, detailed documentation and troubleshooting, prompting documentation, comprehensive guide to getting the best results. Product-specific resources, Claude Code in Action, course on using Claude for development workflows, connector directory, browse and connect your tools. A word of encouragement. The most important thing you can do now is just get started. The skills you've learned here will sharpen with practice, and you'll develop intuition for when and how Claude can help. Start simple. Pick one recurring task from your work this week and try it with Claude. Maybe it's drafting an email, summarizing meeting notes, or analyzing a spreadsheet. See what happens. Iterate. Learn what works for your specific needs. Remember, Claude is designed to be a collaborator, not a replacement. The best results come when you bring your expertise, context, and judgment to the conversation. All right. Hey, yo, Claude 10. Claude 101, Certificate of Completion quiz. Okay, which of the following best describes Claude's capabilities? Claude is a search engine that retrieves information from the web. No. Claude is a voice assistant for smart home devices. No. Claude is a chatbot designed primarily for customer service. No. Claude is an AI assistant that can help with writing, research, code problem, blah, blah, blah. All right, what is the primary difference between projects and skills? Projects are free, no. Projects are for teams, skills are for individuals, no. Projects store knowledge, skills perform tasks, yes. Projects work offline, skills require internet, no. What data can Claude access through connectors? Only data you have permission to access. That's true. All data in the connected service. That kind of depends on permissions. Only data created in the last 30 days. That's not true. Only docs that have been individually shared with Anthropic. Only data you have permission to access. Okay. Who needs to complete the initial setup before team members can use enterprise search? The owner. Anthropic support team? No. Each individual? No. The IT? No. The an organization owner? Yes. What happens when your project knowledge base approaches context limits? Claude stops accepting new file uploads? No. Claude seamlessly enables RAG mode to expand capabilities by up to 10 times. Yes. You must create a new project to continue. Older files are automatically deleted. No. Okay. What can you do with a published artifact? Only view it. No. Share it with anyone via link, and others can remix it in their own Claude conversations. That's true. It automatically gets posted to no. It becomes permanently locked and can no. Okay, so which three elements make up an effective prompt? Introduction, body, conclusion? No. Setting the stage, defining the task, and specifying the rules, kind of. Probably yes. Question, answer, and follow-up? No. Subject, verb? No. Okay. That one. If Claude's response is too generic, what should you try? Add more details about your audience role or constraints? Yes. Ask Claude to search the web for better answers? No. Switch to a different AI model? No. Start a new conversation and ask the same question. Which Claude product is best suited for navigating an unfamiliar code base and automating development tasks? Claude Code. Yes. All right. Which of the following tasks is a good candidate for research mode? Reformatting a PDF? No. Conducting comprehensive market analysis? Yes. Brainstorming product code names? Yeah, kind of. Redlining legal documents? No. Conducting comprehensive market analysis. How confident do you feel in your ability to use Claude after completing this course? Extremely confident, but yeah, I was pretty confident before. How likely are you to recommend this course to a friend or a colleague? I would say extremely likely. Please share any feedback that would help us. You should probably set up Claude on a cron job and have it update to the latest versions and set up information so that the course stays current. Boom. Certificate of completion. Just this basic ass star? Let me get like a little Claude guy celebrating. All right. All right, course overview. View certificate. Oh, view certificate. Hey, view certificate. Hey, certificate. Okay, so I'll go ahead and download this. And I'm gonna need y'all to come up and y'all got too much Claude to not be giving me something a little bit more special than this beige background. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I need more. I'm greedy. Look at that's what I got. All right. All right. Well, that was the first one. Let's see if I could go back and find out which ones we got left. Okay, so we got that one. Next time, let's see if we could go to the courses. So let me know which one we should do next. I'm probably gonna want to do the Claude Code in action one. But if there's a different one you guys want to see, I can do that one first. But yeah, I'm gonna go through these one by one. I just wanted to start with the Claude 101 because, 101. But Claude Code in action, like 21 lessons, I'm about it. But yeah, hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something new about Claude Code. Let me know what else you want to have videos on. I could do these. We can go through these courses together. I have no problem doing that. That's fun. So yeah, go out there and I don't know, prompt passionately.